Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, just a question asker. Oh, I went out for a second there. I'm not important, just a question asker. And my name is Raheem Aljamain from Atlanta, Georgia. From Atlanta, Georgia, by way of Greensboro, North Carolina, by way of Burlington, North Carolina, born in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We got a lot of North Carolina running around up in us in this here day, but that's just the beauty of being from I like calling North Carolina home. That's what it is, man. It's a commercial that used to come on back in the day. They say, I like calling North Carolina home. God almighty. Boy, I look here so early in the morning, and the voice is already on point. The voice is already on point. Listen, I'm waiting on everybody to come in. This is what we call Way Out Wednesday. This is what we call Way Out Wednesday. And we go way out on Wednesday. We talk about it. We don't have a topic. Just for the record. We don't have a topic. Let me see. We don't have a topic on Wednesdays, so don't look for a topic. We talk about a whole plethora of things. I go around and everybody that's here asks them what's on their heart, and they'll bring a topic to the conversation, to the table, and we'll talk about it. We open up the phone lines 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Open up the phone lines, and if you have a topic that you want to talk about, we talk about it. 508-924-3521. So this is on Way Out Day, Way Out Wednesday. So whatever you want to talk about, whatever's on your heart, you can certainly give us a call, and we have no problem. We have no problem with discussing what it is that you have on your heart. Now, look who we have here. Look who we have here. Captain Leonard. Captain Leonard, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem and the Morning Glow family.
Man, I got a question for you, man. This is Way Out Wednesday. So let's go way out, man.
Wow, okay.
Let me ask you this question, Leonard, and this is a Leonard's answer. This is a Leonard's answer.
It's
All right,
always a Leonard's answer.
there you go. Man, you gonna be able to come on the screen with us this morning?
Not right now, no.
Oh, okay. What do you think in the political? Because we usually start off about good morning, Zamari. Good morning, young lady. We missed you yesterday. How you doing? We usually
I'm
start.
I'm good.
Good deal, good deal. Good to have you. Leonard, we usually start off and you wake us up on what's going on in the political world, locally and internationally, domestically, however you want to say that thing. So what's going on in the political arena right now?
BS. It is what it is as usual. It's what you would expect. People trying to right wrongs and those who insist on continuing to be wrong.
Mm.
So you got two sides. Pick a side. You can spin it however you want. Basically, there are people who are doing things that are what's best for the majority. And then there are those wicked, selfish people who are about their business each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same all over the world. There's no peaceful place where you can go where it's not happening because men are there as well. So
Wow.
wherever men are, that is going to be where it's at.
Mm. So basically it's the evil of man and the divide of man.
Yes, yes. The selfishness of man, the greed of man. And
Mm.
so those individuals who are more about coexisting with one another fairly have to be on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you go to France, for instance, if people are not keeping up with what's going on in France, the people are in the streets and ready to destroy the city
Yeah.
simply because they're trying to raise the retirement age.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they're up in arms about that because that is their livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And those
Therefore,
people who have worked so hard, believing in that system for so long, they expect to be paid,
mm-hmm.
not allow you to take all their money and keep using their money for your benefit. If you of course here if you're in America you know what's going on. If not, you choosing not to.
Mm-hmm.
You choosing to turn a blind eye to wickedness, or you just pretty much don't pick the side and that's the side you're on.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to say there's a side of those who wish to oppress, and there's a side of those who prefer freedom.
Wow. Wow. I don't know why my video screen keep going out on me. Something must be going on with my system this morning. But what how can will we ever get to the point where there could be equality across the board?
No,
Never.
no. Wherever man is, wickedness will be. And so you have to understand that. There are people that do not want peace. They do not want equality. And they're fighting for that. We've had many wars about that. Just recently, the Civil War, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Zamar, what do you excuse me, Zamar, what do you say to that? And do you think there will ever that in this society in which we live in, do you think there will ever be across the board just peace where people just get along and see past politics and all the other things that divide us?
Nope. No, I agree with Leonard. No. The only time that that's going to happen is when Jesus comes back.
Wow.
I mean, it's written. It's written. The only time we're ever going to have peace is when Jesus comes back. And he will make the world new. And everything will be perfect and in harmony. That's the only time it's going to happen. And it's going to get worse before then. That's biblical too.
Yeah, it is. It
You're
is.
so right, Raheem. And guess what he's going to do first?
What's that?
Destroy all of the wicked.
They ain't gonna leave a lot of people in it.
Well, he broke it down to, so the Bible says he broke it down to about 8 folks before. Remember?
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, that's the boy.
Just 8, Raheem. Wasn't it about 8?
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of people gone, man.
It's interesting, very interesting story.
And
so who's building the ark? Because I want to be on it.
Well, they say the next time it's going to be destroyed by fire is what it said. It's going to be destroyed by fire, and so that's going to be something serious too. But my thing is, man, I would love to think. I would love to think that we could be wise and intelligent enough to come together and put all these spiritual, political, economical, and all these differences to the side and coexist. And coexist.
There are some of those places,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not nations, and they're not states, and they're not cities. There are places where people commune.
Mm-hmm.
You know, commune, I guess, was a lot bigger back in the 70s, maybe?
Yeah, 70s.
Early 70s, where it was more out there that way, where people are trying to create their own utopias.
You talking about the peace movement where everybody was getting high?
Yeah, you can call it, yeah, exactly. Everybody wasn't getting high.
Well, a lot of people was getting high, but they were puff passing it.
There are still people that would love a place where their kids could go play and don't have to worry about being murdered.
Yeah.
There are places where people wish that everyone had a fair and the equal amount of opportunities. And they exist in certain little small areas where people are committed to that.
Why is that a place that a lot of people visit? And let me go to Ryan. Ryan, and good morning to you, sir. Why is that a place where a lot of people visit, but nobody wants to live? Why is it not, it's a visit. That's like a visiting place. And some people visit that from time to time and say how beautiful it is. Oh, this is great. But then they go back to their own existence. Why is that the case?
Can you repeat that, please? Sorry.
Yeah. Why? And Leonard said there are little pockets of places throughout our society where everybody wants unity, peace, love, and joy. Why is that a place that people visit and not a place that people live? They go and they visit that place and say how beautiful it is. It's beautiful, man. It was so great to be there to see that. But then they go back to their own existence where there's hate, foolishness.
Because deep inside, that's what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants deep inside, is to not have no problems and everything be hunky-dory all the time. But that's not life. That's not real. Everybody talks about
why can't it
the second.
Why can't it be real?
Because Differences create problems.
Mm-hmm.
Theology creates problems. Religion creates problems. Race creates problems. Because that's what people see on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And, people talk about the second coming. That's not happening anytime soon. Sorry to burst bubbles. That ain't coming anytime soon. But what you are going to see is, I say maybe the next 8 to 10 years, we're going to keep going through this mess. And then everybody's going to wake up again and create a semi-peace, a semi-unity. And then it's going to go back to corruption because that's the cycle of life.
Now, let me ask you this question, because you said it's so absolute that it's not going to happen no time soon. How can you be so sure about that?
Because it's been coming for the last, 2,000 years? That's just my opinion, right? That's what we're here for, express our opinion. My opinion is, hey, he coming back any minute. Yeah, well, it's been any minute for about 2,000 years. That's just my opinion.
How? look at Tucson over there laughing. But how do you know he hasn't come back yet?
Hey, that could be it right there. He could have already been come back, and we still here. So we missed the boat.
We going to hell.
Either that or we already there, Donald.
Yeah.
We in trouble.
Because I know that the God that I serve, and I'm not going to say he's any different from any other God that you all serve, because there's only one God. But I know that he wants us to be in a place of love, peace, joy, and happiness. Of good, a place of good. Tucson, why are we taking the long route home? Why are we walking around for 400 years in a circle, and not entering? Like Ryan was saying the other day, looking for the door. The door's right there. Why don't we see it? And good morning. How you doing?
Stiff neck, folks. Neck, folks. We got our own will. We smart. We sharp. We are gods. We so like God. We want to be Him.
Wow.
Yeah, we got our direction, and we got our own will. We got our own way. That's who we are. Rebellious to the core, and we know everything. I don't know if I said that before. And the thing about it is, we're not the first one that says. We've been talking for about years. I was trying to find that scripture where they was talking. It was Lamar probably know it. We was talking about y'all been looking for to say in this. I'm paraphrasing. Y'all been looking for the promise of the Messiah and him coming back, and he ain't came back yet. Okay, all right, good. You see the thief coming. Do I need to say that again?
No. I heard you. Yeah.
The thief is coming. If he comes like a thief in the night, thieves don't warn you that they coming.
Yeah, they're not gonna knock on your door.
They'll catch you when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And we sleeping. We sleeping like never before. Sleep with our eyes wide open, sharp as a tick, and we just ever learning and never coming to the knowledge. We have how does it say it, Leonard? Establish our own righteousness. We right. Access. We right. I don't know what the topic is today, but this is gonna turn out to be pretty good.
Yeah. Good deal. Good. And this is way out Wednesday, brother. This is way out Wednesday.
Way out there. Sure
Yes,
is.
Yes, sir.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
So I'm
go ahead, brother.
If we see, you was talking about if we ever come to what?
Peace.
Peace. We got peace. We have peace. We got the peace that the world offers,
Mm-hmm.
don't we?
Yeah.
You know, the world, and I'm shut up. The world offers peace, but you got the war to get it. Nice. Okay. I
Wow.
just went through it.
That's a powerful statement right there. The world offers peace, but we have to go to war to get it. That's a powerful statement, brother. There's a lot tied into that. Rico, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I can't complain, man. Just out here enjoying another beautiful new day, man.
Yes, sir. Good to have you, brother. Good to have you. Asking a question, man. In this existence that we have right now, will we ever live in a place where there's absolute peace, love, joy, and unity amongst everybody collectively? Will we ever see that?
Oh, no, simply put, I don't think we'll ever see it, but it may be to a point where we don't see such extreme violence or destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But just absolute peace. No, you're going to always have disagreement. You know, it might not be, you know, on such a major scale to where you know, have people act so aggressively. You know, 9/11 proved that.
Mm-hmm.
9/11 proved it. You know, when I went to New York and talked to different people that said they felt a unity, a compassion, and an actual courtesy that they had never seen before. Because most times people are so hustle and bustle, they won't even hold the door open for you. I mean, they won't even speak to you. You look dead at them in their face and speak, and they'll just keep on walking, not acknowledge you.
Mm-hmm.
But that day, everybody standing next to each other felt like they were human beings and brothers and sisters. They had to lean on each other's shoulders and cry. They had to watch people help people that didn't even know each other from the man on the moon. But it was the most important thing. This is when you really, as a human being, understand what's more important. I don't think none of those people thought about a bank account. I don't think none of those people thought about sits. I don't think any of those people thought about hitting no crack. I don't think any of those people thought about anything manufactured at that point in time but the value of life and how precious it is, especially when they saw them people jumping out the windows before the building fell.
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine what the people felt like they saw that second plane hit that building. Oh, man, when you talk about understanding how precious and appreciating life, those people up in New York said they never felt so much unity and love in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it soon got back to normal, but it took a second.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happened with COVID. You know, when everything was shut down and couldn't nobody go anywhere, I didn't hear too much about any robberies. I didn't hear too much about any murders. I mean, I know it was people having conflicts because they were in the house together too long, but for the most part, I think crime went down a little bit. I know, according to the things I was reading, I wasn't seeing or hearing too many ambulances.
Yeah. Yeah.
Car accidents went downhill. There's so many different things slowed down to a minimum, all because mankind had to get back to the basics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Has the advancements of time, has that played a part in dividing us and keeping us separated?
Advancements, as in technologically?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely, it has. Because now, and I've talked about this before, we've got social media. We've got all of these things where we can get that instant gratification by someone pushing a like button, and we mistake that for real connection now. And now, if people don't have anything to talk about, because conversation is an art, and when you run dry, what do people do now? They pick their phone up because they're uncomfortable and they don't know what else to talk about, and they start scrolling Facebook, Twitter, whatever they do. They don't try to continue to engage, or they don't know how to be comfortable in silence. That's what it is. So yes, technologically, it's done wonderful things in the medical fields and different things like that. It's done amazing things for us, but it's also harmed us. It's harming our kids. It's harming the way that they're being taught. It's harming the way that we function in everyday life. Yes, it's absolutely caused a lot of harm. And
Wow.
now we want to sit at home and talk to our friends on our cell phones through text. We don't want to actually get together with them because just texting them, hey, love ya, hope everything's good, is good enough for the week.
Wow. Wow. And she said weak, right there, Leonard. Somewhere it said that somewhere it's written, or somewhere I read where it says we will become wiser but weaker. Are we living in those days right now?
I think wiser and weaker is a phrase for personal responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Weaker could be anything. Weaker could be less able to control yourself,
Mm-hmm.
less able to control the things that you say. That could be weak. Maybe you just stop fighting temptation and
Mm-hmm.
start getting into it. That's weak. So yes, a lot of people indulge in things, and say, for instance, if you teach your kids the right way, you go to college and come back, and here they are. Well, nothing funnier than my god brother when he went away to the military, born and raised Christian, and these types of things, Baptist, and then comes back with rosary beads.
Mm.
How about your kids who you've taught to believe and have faith in God, who now come back and they don't believe at all anymore?
Wow.
So you have to understand that there is always a war within and without. The best you can do is tame the one that's within.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best that you can do. We were raised here in our community, in Christian community, that we are in this world, but we are not of this world.
Yes. Yes.
We have a completely different set of moral values and beliefs
Mm-hmm.
on how we should treat people. And we don't have to wear it all across our chest and blah, 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 because people will know.
So we ain't got to beat our chest and shout it out.
No, no.
Mhm.
There's a lot of fake folks out here that do that.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you one thing and they do another. Then there are some people that just seek to judge others. So their religion is judging others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I ain't a part of this religion. I ain't part of that religion. But you stand outside and you judge everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what? Your own personal belief.
Yep.
So, one, it is written that those people who are truly believers, you'll be able to tell.
A lot of people believe, a lot of church folks believe that if it don't line up with what I believe is not right. If it don't line up with what I believe, it ain't right. No, that
Right.
ain't right. Because it
A
don't
lot of
line
people
up.
say they believe the whole Bible, ain't read but 2 or 3 verses.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So, that's just lip service.
Mm-hmm.
That's just lip service.
Yeah.
There are people who, you can be a Christian and be on the complete side of oppressing others
Yeah.
with Christianity or whatever you choose.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hypocrite, the oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't find it shocking how they behave, because they never were about the gospel.
Now hold on. Now you talking about church folk. Now you talking about church folk, Leonard. You talking about church folk now.
Well, I don't even like to say church folk, because
Mhm.
church folk have a connotation. When you say it, you probably mean black church folk,
Well, I'm in across the board. It happens across the board. Black,
right?
white. Yeah.
But when you say it,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of church folk. You ain't talking about folks at white churches.
I'm talking about all of them.
But do you go over there?
Leonard, and it's strange that you said that.
Go over there.
No. Truth of the matter, to answer your question, no, I don't. But I had the experience that I told you all about when I was in Batesburg, South Carolina, and I pulled me and a friend of mine, which happened to be a pastor, who was riding around promoting an event that I was having, and we walked. We drove. I say walked up, but we drove up on one of our Caucasian brothers that was in his yard doing some work in his yard, and we went to talk to him, and it just so happened that he ended up being a pastor of he was a pastor of a Caucasian church. And he told us, he said he was from up north. He said he moved down here to get the church together.
Mhm.
And he been fighting. He said, I've been fighting this fight for a long time. And he told us straight out, man, being just as honest as he could be. He said, man, he said, I'll come to support you. It's a great cause. He said, I'll come to support it. He said, but ain't nobody else in my church gonna come.
Right.
And I'm looking at him like, wait a minute, wait a minute, brother. How you what do you mean? And I looked at my friend that was with me, and he looked at me and he shook his head. He shook his head. I said, sir, explain to me what you mean. He said, they're not gonna come because it's a black event.
Mm-hmm.
I was
That's
like,
right.
why do you? He said, man, he said, listen, he said, I'm just, I've been talking to y'all fellas for a minute, and y'all seem like good guys. He said, so I can be honest with y'all, man. He said, they're not gonna come. He said, I will come. And I've been fighting this fight with them for a long time. This is a pastor. He's the pastor of the church.
Mm-hmm.
He said, they're not gonna come because it's a black event. And I was like, wow. And he said he'd been fighting. Like I said, he said from up north. He said he's been trying to get them out of that mindset and open them up a little bit to other experiences outside of quote unquote what he said the white experience. He said, but he haven't broken that chain yet.
Yeah, God bless him.
Yeah,
in his mission, because he's chosen a very rough task. We got a pastor sitting right here.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard to be a pastor.
yeah.
A good pastor. Oh,
Mhm.
it's hard to be a pastor. I don't wish it on nobody.
Mhm. It's not an
But
easy
for
walk.
those who pursue that, it's good to know their intentions, and hopefully they are about that change in their community, because that is what we relied on.
Mhm.
That's what our people relied on,
Mhm.
is the leadership of those individuals who were pastors in our community, who
Yeah.
were about speaking out, because they had been taught and read and led
Mhm.
to believe in the power that must go against injustice.
Mhm.
And so that's why we valued them. It's because they always were fighting against injustice.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they were the people that helped you got in the community. If you were locked up and got out, lead you on the right way, give you a place to go, help you find a job,
Leonard,
all those types of things.
how does that voice go? It escapes me right now. Is it coming to me in bits and pieces? But Georgia is that I think it says Georgia the peacemaker, for they are the one that bring the peace.
Right. That's a good pastor.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good pastor that leads you in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a lot of examples of horrible pastors.
Mm-hmm.
Great preachers,
Yeah.
but horrible pastors.
Mm-hmm.
See, now they just get that when they want to be up front. They CEO now. The pastor, he just CEO. He ain't got no calling. He just the CEO of the corporation. But then there are those pastors that get down and feed the hungry, try to make sure people have food, clothing, and shelter, who teach and preach and live the gospel.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's what
Wow.
a pastor does, leads you in the right way.
In the right direction. Absolutely. Absolutely. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. This is Way Out Wednesday, so please don't look for a topic today. We talk about a lot of different things. We bring a lot of different things to the table on Wednesday. So if you come in here looking for or asking or wondering what is the topic, we don't have one on Wednesday. Now, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, yes, we have a topic. But on Wednesdays, open conversation, open dialogue. Rico, what do you say to that, brother? The honesty of this pastor, our Caucasian brother, man, that told us that his people will not come because they haven't crossed that hurdle yet. He's fighting. He want to see the day where they could or where they would, but right now they're not there. Rico, what does that say to you?
What that says to me is, I don't need to ask you. Were you surprised? I was going to ask you that. I didn't want to interrupt, but you said, wow.
Yeah.
How long you been in the South?
A long time, brother.
I mean,
yeah.
He had to tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that. I mean, I'm stuck right there. This is like something obvious to me. I'm like, I can't even go no further than that. If anything, I would have been like, oh man, yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have been awestruck. I would have been like, yeah, man, you ain't got to tell me I'm from the South.
Mm-hmm.
I could have told you that before you came here, brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good luck.
Mm.
I'm from here. I ain't gonna be surprised by that. I mean, what else can I say? If you want to go back to peace, I could bring up, the thing about peace and how hard it would be to accomplish, but pretty soon it'll be inevitable, because I think we're on the crumbling end of our empire, unless somehow we find a way to continue to manipulate other countries to break apart or sabotage other countries, you know, that's uniting right now. But the way this BRICS thing is going and the way our dollar is going, our normal way of continuing power or even using democracy as an excuse to go and help maintain peace or create peace or bring peace, all of this little stuff we've been doing, America, is about to change.
Yeah.
And if we don't pay attention to it, we're going to see that it's going to be a whole lot of war, what Donald was talking about. And then if we survive, we may see some peace. Who knows? I don't know how this outcome is going to be. But if you pay attention to all empires, the Roman Empire, we don't follow in the exact footsteps. And we're in the last days of it. We're in the days of decadence. This is the age that we're in. And it takes a lot to maintain decadence, but it really can't survive. And if you pay attention to what's going on outside of our country, if you really stop being distracted, you'll see that there's going to be a huge disruption over here, unless you can be manipulated to conform to a certain condition and not even realize you wanted that condition. Like right now, we are under the illusion of democracy, but really and truly, we live in a plutocracy. That might sound like a foreign language to some people. But if you pay attention to what's going on, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Democracy isn't a place where corporations run the government and banks run the government. A democracy is a place where the people run the government. And right now, the people want peace. And we have had people in the past that wanted peace, and the government killed those people because they wanted war. It was money making. So much money in defense contracts. So, I mean, you know, it's this way of life we've been living has been a deception. But outside of these walls, a lot of people know it. And they're affected from it. It's just not us being affected from it, but it's people in other countries. Other countries definitely affected by what the corporations and the banks do. Intentionally bombing people and then getting money to go and fix it from the same people that bombed them. Same people getting richer and richer and richer, putting people in debt. And so, I mean, man, I was thinking about this earlier, man. How many people celebrate going to buy a home that they got financed, but really at the same time, they just putting themselves in more debt? That's how you know things are over here. And in some countries, they don't want that. They don't want that system. They see what creates terrorists. So it's, and the way this system is set up, being that we are so distracted by systems and institutions that have us bamboozled about the democracy that we claim we live in, this oligarchy, capitalism that we live under, man, peace is fishing. Like, it's gonna come. It's inevitable, but it's gonna be a lot of suffering from it.
Do you think it's gonna be a lot? Do you think it's gonna be a lot of bloodshed? Do you think it's gonna be a lot of?
It might be a lot of bloodshed and death. It's gonna be a lot of pain. But you know, if it happens. But the thing is we are so distracted right now. Some people might not even realize when it happens, what's going on, because right now we still believe we're living under a democracy, and that's under the name. You know, that's the name that they use. But when you look at what's really going on, you know who run the show, and they don't want peace. They don't want peace at all. They knock off everybody. They even knock off their own president, my people. And we know this and we talk about it. And nobody has ever been prosecuted for that. Can you imagine that? Some of the people that have been prosecuted for knocking off these peacemakers were the wrong people. Did you hear the stories that they said about people helping them along to get away and giving them passports? People named Raul. Man. So we're in a situation, man, you know what I'm saying? When you spoke about peace, you know, we might be waiting on a supernatural, miraculous savior to come get us. But before then, if he doesn't, man, we got some things that's gonna be in our future that might be on our doorsteps that we're not even paying attention to. We might be begging for peace over here.
Let me go to Zamar.
More
exactly. Let me go to Zamar. Zamar, what do you say to that, man? Our Caucasian brother said that he would come to the event, and he's a pastor of the church. I saw when I said that, you know, you had a reaction. So Zamar, what do you think about that? And he was honest. He said, look, I will come. I'll buy a ticket right now. I'll come. But he said, ain't nobody else in my congregation gonna come because it's a black event. And they're not coming to a black event. So, Maya, what does that say to your heart?
So my first question is, did you have it in big bold letters, black event?
No. He saw me. He saw me and my friend passing it out, and that's the conclusion he came up with.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
just had to ask, right? Because you didn't have a sign saying black event, blacks only.
Mhm.
You didn't say anything about that, which I wouldn't
No.
have assumed that you would have. I'm just
No.
being funny, really.
Yeah.
But there's a problem with the heart there,
Mm-hmm.
because I'd come.
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely come to support something, whatever that event was for. Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
We're all people.
Mhm.
We're all most of us have a common goal in mind, especially when it comes to maybe those that are less fortunate than we are,
Mhm.
to help empower men, empower women, make women feel beautiful because they're running around playing mama, playing wife, holding down however many we do those things in our communities. So why does it have to be just because there might be more black people there?
Mhm.
Would that deter you from going to some event because there'd be more white folks or more Hispanics, more
Doesn't matter.
Japanese people? You know what I'm saying? Like, why
Mhm.
does that matter? Why should that matter? Why should ethnicity, when it comes to that,
Mhm.
matter? But people make it a
It
point.
shouldn't.
I don't know why, but they do, right? There's that certain group of people who make it a point where they just don't want to engage. And
Mhm.
maybe it's because of the stigmas and the stereotypes. It could be all of those things combined. And that's all that they know about those particular groups of people, is
Mhm.
those stigmas and stereotypes. And so they do not want to engage and find out anything other than that, because they
They
think they
rather,
already know.
they rather stay trapped in that prison.
Yes, absolutely. I will go to any event anywhere, as long as it's a good event and not, a
Yeah.
gang related thing or something. But
Mhm.
I will go to any event anywhere. I will learn from anyone. If you have something that I can learn from, wisdom, so whatever wisdom you have, and I can learn from that, it doesn't matter to me. I don't
Mhm.
care. But yeah, I don't know. So you've got those people that are that way.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel sorry for that pastor, where he would be the only one to show up
Yeah.
out of his whole congregation, whether it's 30 or 300. That's a
Mhm.
sad thing. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm not sure. This is why I couldn't be a pastor, because I'm pretty sure I would go up there. I would even present it.
Mhm.
I would present the event.
Mhm.
And then I would go to the event and see how many actually showed up, if any. And then I'd go back to church that next Sunday and I would say, shame on you all.
Mhm.
I sure would.
Yeah.
Because what's wrong with you?
Mhm. What's wrong with your
That's just
heart?
me, though. But again, they'd probably kick me out. This is why I can't be a pastor.
They say you won't be pastoring alone, but they kick you right on out. But let me ask Toussaint this question, because Toussaint, and I pray that you answer a certain way. I don't know how you answer this question or what your answer is going to be, but I know and I see that you do a lot in the community. You do a lot in the community, a lot. From week to week, y'all having different events. How many people come to the events or the community events that you have that don't look like us?
What I did when I first went to that community is I joined the community leaders.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with the church, because church like meetings. They like to meet about doing stuff. They like to discuss it. Let's talk about it first. I don't talk about nothing. I go out there and find out who's doing it, and I go with them. I join in with people that's doing it. Now, if the people that's in the church want to come, they welcome. But I'm not going to beg them, or I'm not going to allow them to stop me from doing. I told them, I said, this is what I did before I got here, and I'm gonna continue to do it. So
Mhm.
in order to do that, you find out who's doing it, regardless to whether if they Christians or whoever it is. If they're working in that community to better, you join in with them,
Mhm.
like-minded people. So, and you do you. I do me. I don't worry, who gonna do. That's a waste of time.
Mhm.
You can for argument. So already they'll put you out. Sure will.
Yeah.
They'll put you out
Mhm.
because we don't like change. We don't like the norm. We are the mirror of how the children of Israel were. I'm almost convinced, Leonard, that they never did want to get out of Egypt. They were just running their mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't, because if you remember, after Moses led them out, they said, we want to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was too hard. They'd rather be in prison than be free.
Exactly. So here they are in the front of the Red Sea, and Pharaoh's coming, and the Red Sea's there, and they said, didn't we tell you to leave us alone? Didn't we tell you to leave us alone? It was better for us to serve the Egyptians.
Wow.
Now God done all of that and he's still doing things to us. We can see it, whether you're a Christian or not. I hear y'all, Ryan and Zamari and Ledger and people say, y'all, Rico. But I'd rather be with some church folk because you're real.
Mm-hmm.
What it is, the God in you, you can't get rid of. So he shows himself in you, and people have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't what's up, man? People act, wait a minute. I wish I had a Bible. I put it under my arm and I stick my lip up and I have that demeanor about myself that looks like a Christian, whatever that is, or righteous. And, they got some, let me just throw this out here for free. They got some black events I won't go to. Because they're acting crazy. Some events, we invite folks for and the culture shock. No, running down the islands. Now you're on the pews. Rev, what are you doing on the furniture?
Lord.
Why are you on the furniture, man? Walk in the pew. He walk in the pew. Wait a minute. The Holy Ghost got all over me, Leonard. Oh, really? Your feet slip.
Lord.
Hey, no, I hate to interrupt, man, but I was just thinking about something. We might be looking at this thing all wrong, man. Maybe they don't want to come because they don't want to be embarrassed when it's time to, sort of swing and sing together. And you know how you have to clap hands and be in rhythm.
Oh,
because they don't do a whole lot of that in their churches.
Wow.
I mean, and that ain't to be funny or joking, but it's a lot of different culture. It might just not be to the point where they don't want to be exposed to what we're doing because it's like a ridicule thing to them, but maybe they feel uncomfortable because they can't they can't praise and worship the same.
Hold on. You saying white folks can't keep rhythm? What?
Man, we ain't gonna play dumb now. We don't
sound like that's what he said to me.
Hey, Jonathan just said we real. We're gonna keep it real. You go to some of them churches, they don't carry on like we carry on in our church. And that can be uncomfortable, not just because it's different, but because they feel like outcasts. They're not on their home turf. Anybody not on their home turf feels a little uncomfortable when they're doing something that they're not used to. So it might not be just the fact that they are they look down on the way black people worship or hold events. It might just be the fact that they're not used to, celebrating or praising that way. And they don't want to feel out of place.
So basically what you're saying, we can get loud sometimes.
Oh my God, I went to
Yeah, I
Betty
mean,
G's church and
I
she
mean,
was
you know,
running
they
down
place different.
Yeah.
You don't been. I mean, I done been to white churches before, man, and you know what I'm saying. I mean, I be like, what's this? I know. I mean, the singing ain't the same. Definitely, I ain't never seen nobody shouting a white church. Lord have mercy, man. You go to a black church, you might run out of there scared.
Lord Jesus.
You see somebody
You should go to
calling
Pentecostal.
out, man. I mean, you know
Maybe
that's a
Pentecostal.
culture shock for some people, man. So you know, some people aren't used to worshiping like that. That would be the same as we going to a whole nother religion and feeling out of place.
Yeah.
Some people could say, well, you know what, we'll go along with it. Some people gonna say, you know what, man, this is just out of my level. I don't know how to, you know, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's a bad way to feel going somewhere, trying to feel comfortable and trying to fit in, but you just can't.
Why
We are human.
Why everybody so loud? Why they falling all over the floor over there? Why they covering them up like that? What is really going on? Why is all this happening? We don't do this. We don't do this over here. We don't do this over here. Ryan, talk to me, brother.
So what you saying, Rico, is you don't want to go handle snakes? You scared?
You see what I'm saying? That part right there. That part right there, man. I'm gonna get up out of there real fast. I'm gonna be standing up on top of the ceiling. I'm having a good time. I'm like, man, this ain't church.
Oh yeah. I mean, for real though, like, you know, I grew up in the city, so being part of a black church, that ain't nothing to me. I feel awkward when I go to my grandparents' church. They in there sound like an opera chorus. But you know, Zamari and I, the ministry we belong to is, you know, evangelical Pentecostal church, and they throw down. That's like Leonard said, they throw all the way down, and it ain't no difference between a white Pentecostal church and going to black church. Ain't no difference. And I can't go to a white church. You want me to take a nap? Okay, I'm in. But I think when it comes to events like you were talking, there's a stigma, right? I don't have a problem with it, but that's just me because I grew up the way I grew up. But you know, some white folks might feel like, oh man, I'm gonna go here and start dancing and carrying on, and everybody gonna laugh at my expense. That could happen, sure.
Yeah.
But it's really the same. Like, you don't have to advertise it as a black event, like my wife was saying, because you can just figure it out based on where it's going to be held, what the population of the event is going to be, right? And some people just don't like going to those areas. But it depends on the cause, really. So if you're holding like a fundraiser for a good cause, I feel like, my personal opinion, that don't matter where it's being held at if it's good cause, because only certain types of people going to show up to that. So you really don't have much to worry about, right? But other events, like Donald was saying, it's, you know, there's a stigma surrounding it, and some people just don't want to feel like they're unsafe. People scared, man. People scared of stuff they don't understand. And that's really the heart of it is what's.
But what if and that's a very valid point. People, that's a very valid point that you just made, and I appreciate that, man. But what if your healing is on that side that you're afraid to go to? What if what you're looking for is found on that side in that area? You'll never be healed if you are not willing to go there.
No, you're absolutely correct. But that's like telling somebody who's crazy they need medicine. They're not gonna go for that. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to convince somebody to overcome their fears and deal with things. And I think that's a pivotal point for us as people in this country, where the healing process is right in front of us, but people too scared to bridge the gap.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've been on both sides of the fence and seen the fear on both sides of the fence. It's both ways, right? And you know, I really don't have an answer on how to tell people how to overcome that. You have to show them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if we was to hold an event and all of us put our collective minds together, right? You got me and Z and Badger, even though I've never seen his face, the Togan White crew over here, you know, and all of us get together with everybody else on the panel that's of color, and we have this big soiree. We use a white word. We throw a big soiree. We throw a hoedown. Whatever you want to call it. I'm just being funny. But we show the people that you could get together no matter what race, color, or creed you are and have a good time and don't have to worry about anything. That tends to break the ice a little bit more. Yeah. But coming from my person of color side, I know how it is when you throw certain kinds of events. Somebody always going to act a fool and mess something up. So people have that stigma that they have to overcome as well on both sides, right? It's not just a black or a white thing. Everybody's going to act a fool. There's always that one person that's going to mess it up for everybody else. So you have to have like-minded individuals coming together, showing that it can happen without any sideways effects to break that ice. That's to good. Show people that it can happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Man, that's why it's good to have different people from different walks of life.
Yeah.
I can identify with Ryan because I know where Ryan from. I know what he has had to do to get by. He'd be the guy to tell you black folks is all right. We go get to know them. Most white people that I know, once they brought in, they have a whole different perspective. Because when somebody in the community say they really like you with me now. That means I can bring you around my people because I can vouch for you. And so that's how you build relationships. If you go to white Pentecostal churches, they resemble a lot of black churches. But even our church, my pastor always jokes, we Baptist. It's a huge church. But you know Hopewell, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
You know Hopewell. It don't matter what color you is, who you are, or whatever. It's about the Spirit of God. That's what it's about. So all people are welcome. So even in that, there are some brothers and sisters who I say they're believers, but they're racist. That's just ain't no sense in lying about it. They racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now they're fighting. Good white pastors are fighting a big fight because they're trying to change the mindset. And that's very difficult in some places. God bless those men who put it on the line, you know, in these other cities that reach out, you know, like say, for instance, those that are in Chicago and a lot of these white pastors that have been in the community. That's where their ministry started, in the black communities, and just wanting to help people. Help people that were that was less fortunate. Those are great pastors. But now those churches that were built on, can't no blacks come in here? We're not going to neglect that they didn't exist. It wasn't black folks that separated worship. The white folks. So they got to fix that. Well, even when I go into certain conversations, like I think Badger invited me to one of his conversations that they were having with other people, because these folks are trying to bring people together. And like I told him, you could see the ones that were a little thrown, you know, about this, that, or the other. But you know what? I'm here to heal you.
Yeah.
Because just like racism caused a lot of sickness in my community, a lot of sickness in your community. That's where that virus come from. But we can heal that as well. So
how do we get there?
Well, one, we do what we've been doing. We do what we've been doing in our churches.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's welcome. Everyone's treated the same. If you want to get right, come get right. If you want to stay wrong, stay out there where you at.
Dealing with both sides of the coin, and then we're gonna move on for a second. But I want to ask you this question: dealing with both sides of the coin, that situation, some would say. Let me preface it by saying that some would say that we have to be real mindful as to how we do it, because that situation that happened in Charleston, where the Caucasian brother went to the church and he sent in, I think it was Bible study, and before the Bible study was over, he's killed 8-9 people.
Right. You know,
So,
that would, you know why? Because that church forgot. You knew there was someone in your fold that wasn't usually in there.
Uh-huh.
You need to find out why he's there.
Mm-hmm.
We had somebody escorted out of our church.
Wow.
Because he refused to have his bag checked.
Mm-hmm.
There's security right on him.
Yeah.
And then he told a lie about why he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Now you definitely got to get out of here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So be mindful. The devil come to church.
Yes, sir.
He get there before you do.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you in church, God forbid, you know, from my Muslim belief, there's a commandment. You don't shed no blood in the mosque.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, I don't care what issue you have. But now we see where people completely bomb a mosque.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what we have to be. We have to understand that there's a lot of things in this world that are not right. And the church ain't no impenetrable fortress.
Absolutely.
The preacher could be the devil.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. Again, I have to preface and let you all know that don't come here on Wednesday. We want you to come here on Wednesday. So we're not telling you not to come, but don't come looking for a topic. We talk about a whole lot of different things. We got a whole lot of things we talk about on Wednesday. Sometimes we get a little cray-cray in here. We get a little cray-cray sometimes. Sometimes we get a little cray-cray. I got to be honest now. You know, sometimes, you know, you got to understand now Tucson is here, so sometimes we're going to get a little crazy.
I love what Tucson said, man. He said, and he must needs go through Samaria.
Exactly. Tucson, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. If y'all listen to Tucson's a funny fella, man. That's a funny dude, man. Tucson, what's on your heart, brother?
No, Leonard was talking about what I see. Jesus was trying to show us righteousness, and that's just what I know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What righteousness looks like. So there's racial barriers. So he does something that we church folks don't normally do. And his disciples looking at him like he crazy. You see, I'm going through Samaria. Well, usually they would pass around there because they didn't like him. You know, them folks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like us. Them folks.
Yeah.
Because we have that conversation, you know, some people, you know what? Anyway, he was always trying to teach them a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes there and he know everything. He sits on this well. And see, we always talk about, you know, how we greet people, greet them with a holy kiss and how you doing? Oh, praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus says, give me some water. Can I get some water? Matter of fact, go get your husband, to kind of start a conversation. We don't know how to start a conversation with people.
Mm-hmm.
But he was good at it. Cultural shock. He breaks it down and he sits to this woman. She said, we don't deal with each other. Especially, I'm a woman, Samaritan woman. And we don't fool with you. We don't fool with you. Suppose we would try to do that. I went to this church in Arkansas in the training, and the only ones that were dressed in the suit was me and the preacher.
Mm-hmm.
And older guy turns around and says, you sure dress up nice.
Wow. I told y'all.
See, because what I did was I went to the town and I, get up in the morning. It was Sunday morning. I felt like I was gonna go to church. So I see this sign on the church, First Baptist Church of Arkansas. I don't know what town in Arkansas. So I'm thinking First Baptist Church. All right then. Fly in a bowl of milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I went on in. Sure did.
Yes, indeed.
Ringing in the sheet, ringing in the sheet, we shall come rejoicing.
Ringing in the sheet.
I'm sorry, Zamar.
It's not about the singing, it's about those old hymns. Cannot stand old hymns.
Exactly. But Zamari says something. When you go to a Caucasian Pentecostal church,
What?
because you're talking about a cultural shock. They be cutting up, buddy. Sure do.
Hold on. Let me chime in here, Donald. Because Leonard, you might know this ministry since you from up here too. Do you remember Great Faith Ministries, Leonard?
Yeah, I haven't been up there in a long time now.
Okay, so it's run by a man named Bishop Wayne T. Jackson.
Yeah, I know that name.
Okay, so this man is a great man. I think somebody was mentioning about a pastor last night on Real Men Being Men who gave his testimony. He was a drug dealer before he became a pastor, right?
Yes.
Or no, he was an abuser.
He was an abuser. Yeah.
So Bishop Jackson was the same. He cut the lawn for the church while being an abuser and selling, and then he ended up being turned over the keys. So a great man. I'll never take anything away from him. Great man. He welcomed me into his house, treated me like his own son, right? But then all of the controversy started because he was reached out to by Trump, and he became part of Trump's prayer team.
Mm-hmm.
So he started catching all kinds of flack, being a black bishop teaming up with Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And they never really do anything about it, right? They never put any kind of media on this man. And then all of a sudden I catch this video and talk about weird and crazy things out the church. He's doing like a rite of passage for someone who's becoming a bishop. And this man lays a white sheet across this other man and then lays on top of him.
That's how I know him. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this because I know this man. I know his children. They're all very wealthy, famous individuals in movies, music producing, all of that stuff. And I'm like, what in the world is going on right now? You're talking about crazy stuff. That was one of those things that stood out to me. And you see the same thing though in a white Pentecostal church. Samari and I were members of Perry Stone's ministry down there in Tennessee for 3.5 years. I was a guard down there, and you talk about crazy things.
Wow.
Woo.
Mm.
And also, Raheem, just to let folks know, like Donald found out, if you are a believer and you are of the Baptist denomination, wherever you go, the First Baptist Church will tell you the type of city that you are in.
Yeah.
If you want to know what's going on in that city and deep what it's about, the First Baptist Church will let you know that.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be the one that say the First Baptist Church. When you go into that church, everybody that was there, whose roots were there, that created that place where you are at, tells you where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Sound like you want to go to the second one instead of the first.
And the second one might be the black one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but
That's all right.
the First Baptist Church, because I've had, like, even here where I live, I was invited to the First Baptist Church by actually a district attorney invited me. You know, I love him, you know, when we in court or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I know where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I know the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very good guy. And trust me, true believers that are really preaching the gospel, we don't have those, they don't have those issues. But don't judge everybody like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you may be the persons that's going through Samaria. You may be the only one. But if you say you're a believer, that's why you got to go. That's why you got to go. Because that's where you may be needed. A message may be needed in that place. You know, I've been to Methodist, Catholic churches, you name it. So I know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I look for the good in things. And you have to understand that a lot of these people, like my man Ryan said, boy, you better watch for that weird stuff.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
weird stuff going on out here.
Mm-hmm.
And don't allow people to lead you in the wrong way. That's why you have to have it for yourself. Because you may have to be the one that say, you know what? I'm gonna have to wipe the dust off my feet on this one.
Mm-hmm. And keep it moving.
And keep it pushing, because this ain't what I want to be associated with.
Exactly. Let me go to Rico. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, I was thinking, man, everybody hitting it on the head, man. I like that, man. Leonard had me cracking up when he said it ain't the church isn't an impenetrable force. Because I was thinking the same thing, man. I'm like, man, look, people walk in the buildings and shoot people all the time. You know, if you get so delusional into your religion and into your worship to the point of where you just let your guard down because you caught up in the moment. Oh, yes, we in the house of praise. Come on in, good brother of God. And they blow your dome off.
Rico, who is that? Who is that voice you be using right there, man? Who's that?
Whoever it is, let them into that church in South Carolina.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, he said it is not an impenetrable building or anything. So you have to still realize that you live on earth and you live amongst human beings.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bad people out there, you know. But going back to what you were saying about the people that said that they wouldn't come to the black event, to me, that really goes to show you who's really, like Leonard said earlier, who's a true believer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I was thinking about before he said that, I was thinking about people who are sincerely righteous. People who are, I mean, to me, it shows like the difference between people who are truly spiritually connected and then who are just religious.
Mm-hmm.
See, some people are strictly religious, man, but they ain't really connected spiritually. They don't truly believe because they're caught up in those situations. But then at the same time, too, it goes to show you just how something so small as just being uncomfortable can disconnect people. Look, it's other black people won't go to other black people events, family members.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, but what I notice is that it's hard to get people out of their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, y'all gave the example. Moses parted the sea, but the Egyptians wanted to go back.
Mm-hmm.
They want to go back to what they was comfortable with, because even though it might have been bad, they had conformed to make it fit and be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they got out of that situation, they didn't just want to go back just because they were used to that situation. They didn't want to get out of their comfort zone. They wanted to go back to what they were used to.
Mm-hmm.
That's like being comfortable / addicted.
Is that like a person that's being abused running back to the abuser because
Stockholm
they're so used to it?
syndrome.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost like, you know, listen, I'm used to the comforts of this soft bed that I live in and being able to slide my feet in some Versace shoes, you know what I'm saying, and having the finer things. So I'll tolerate a whole lot of crap. And even though I get fed up and I call and complain to somebody every night for 3 hours straight about this man not coming home and him cheating and bringing home diseases and stuff, I still ain't went nowhere. Mm-hmm. And then you might get the nerve up to leave. And guess where you ended back up at? Because you didn't want to get out the comfort zone. So I mean, that to me, like I said, when I mentioned it earlier, I wasn't really meaning it as a joke. But you know, it can be a situation where those people of that man's congregation, they deep down inside, they want to go, but they don't want to get out their comfort zone because it would be very uncomfortable being the butt of the joke. Or it might not even be the butt of the joke, but just the center of attention because you out there trying to join in. And you know how some people get happy and they want to get the microphone and get up and say something. And they get up and say the same, to say the wrong thing. Yes, I love worshiping with black people. You know, I love black people. Y'all like to stop in the middle of the road and talk to people and barbecue.
Wow.
You know, said the wrong thing. So I mean, you know, you get in a situation where you're not used to being in that environment. Man, I remember I was in high school. It was this guy that I played baseball with, white guy. We had been knowing each other since we were like 7 or 8 years old, maybe 8 years old. And then we ended up going to high school together. So the little town I lived in, to go to this majority white high school, I went from a 95% black school system to a 95% white school system. Culture shock.
Yeah.
I had to do some adjustment. So just so happened, this boy, he ended up going to the school too. Left the old school system. And then he decided to come stay the night at one of my friends' house. Little town we lived in, probably 700 people, all black. Man, that joker got on that bus and he wore his football helmet on his head the whole time. Looking goofy. Yeah. Everybody knew he was uncomfortable, but he was so uncomfortable, he didn't realize how goofy he looked. So you had to look, it was 3 buses that took the black people to the black side of town that we lived on. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the whole time everybody was sitting up loaded on them buses, pointing at him laughing, not because he was white and coming to Hobson City, but because he was uncomfortable sitting up there with his helmet on, looking like he was ready to line up and hit somebody and tackle them. You know what I'm saying? Uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was nervous.
You
know that he didn't know what to expect. He in the process of thinking too hard of trying to fit in, sometimes you do some very awkward things, some goofy things. And, you know, that could be uncomfortable. So that's why I said, man, you know, if it wasn't a racial thing, you know what I'm saying, it probably had to do with comfort. You know, I don't want to just place it on the fact that they didn't just want to do it because we were black. You know what I'm saying, or y'all were black. But at the same time, you know, in some situations, that is what it is. That it is because it was a black event. And it has nothing to do with being awkward or being uncomfortable. It just has to do with the color. Okay. And those people, they don't truly believe. They're not sincerely righteous or sincerely spiritual. They just religious.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the pastor. That's what pretty much what the pastor was saying as well. He wanted to get them past that point. You know, he said they're not there. He told us. He said they're not there. Chris Nellums was a young man that was with. I was trying to look him up. I'll try to get him to call in, but I'm not able to get him right now. But Chris Nellums, Pastor Nellums, is the one that was with us, that was with me that day, and he tell the story. He tell the story much better than I do, because it shocked. I don't know if I even want to say shocked him, but it gave him a sense of reality when that happened, and he saw it firsthand. It gave him a sense of a reality, sad reality, but a reality all the same. Badger, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. It's another beautiful and blessed day.
Absolutely. What's on your heart, brother? You're hearing what we're saying and what we're talking about, man. What's on your heart right now?
I'm trying to. What's the actual question?
Badger.
Or topic for today?
Badger, this is Wednesday. What topic do we have on Wednesday?
It is everywhere. So what was which one's going right now?
Well, I was actually talking about the situation that happened when me and Pastor Nellums was actually out passing out information about an upcoming event that we was having. And we pulled up to one of our Caucasian brothers in his yard, got to talking to him, and he said point blank period that he would come. And he was a pastor of a church in that area, pretty large size church. He said he will come, but nobody in his congregation will come because it's a black event. Because of the fact it's a black event, they won't come. He said he came from up north and he's trying to change the mindset of the people, but he haven't gotten there yet. So what do you think of that? I mean, he was honest.
Sounds like a bunch of people's gonna miss out on some fun. And it sounds like a bunch of ignorant folk. Well, I don't know if I even want to use the word ignorant anymore. I guess in certain situations, maybe a handful of them could actually use that card. But for the most part, if they're still holding on to racist ideas, they're either evil or brainwashed.
Mm-hmm.
They
So
still
they're
have all that toxic crap in their brain that they think's true, and
so
the only way for that to
because
go
of the fact
away is for them to go to those kinds of meetings.
so because of the fact that they have racist ideals or ideologies in their life, they're evil.
No, there's a difference.
I'm just asking a question off what you just said, brother.
There are those that get brainwashed into thinking certain things because they don't go out and do their own research.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then there are those that are just evil human beings.
Okay.
And most of the time, they're not just racist; they're classist and other things too. They want what they want, and they've already sold their soul, and it don't matter.
Wow.
So, and and you can find those people in church too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's an unfortunate thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've come across a lot of human beings, especially when you start getting around Baptists and certain evangelical and different things like that. That they just I'd say majority just don't know no better, and the ones that are leading them are the evil ones.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Captain, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Good morning to you, Raheem, and the Morning Glow family.
Hey, good morning to you as well. What are you hearing in this situation, man? The pastor, he was honest. He was very open and honest when he said that he would come to the event, but because it's a black event, that nobody else in this congregation. Now he was from up north, moved down south to take over this church, and he said he's trying to get them out of that mindset, but they're not there yet, and so they won't come to the event because it's a quote unquote black event. What is that saying to you? What do you hear when you hear that?
Well, it's America, man. I don't know. I just, that is trying to move that needle, man, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. I mean, I can't be mad at the fact. I mean, he's trying to get his congregation to get up to date. But I mean, if they feel comfortable being among their own, you can't get mad at it. But there's a reason why they don't feel comfortable being among black people, and what reason I can't answer that. I don't know. They have some issues to get past, but everybody feel comfortable among their own. Now, I would feel uncomfortable if I was a new guy in town and I had to be taken and put in an all-white environment. I don't know nobody. Not that I have a problem, but what's uncomfortable is that you put me in an environment where people feel uncomfortable with my presence.
Yeah.
I would feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel uncomfortable only because, not that I have a problem, but I would have a problem with people feeling uncomfortable with my presence.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we still not there yet. We keep talking about, the black and white. And what people don't realize, Raheem, there's only one color, and that's the color black. Now, y'all gonna say, what, God, wait a minute. No, because white is the absence of color. Always like someone say that one more time. White is the absence of color. You can't get black out of white, but you can get white out of black. So when I'm saying it's the absence of color, if you're dealing with the color scheme, it is colorless. So when you look at it like that, if we're going to play the color game, then you know you could just shut them up right now, you know. But the reality is we don't play that because you know that divides people. It really divides people when you play the color card. But everybody always like to think, you know, that's the first thing the black people like to play is the color card. You know, we ain't nobody about trying to play the color card. We just have to get America past their racist attitude. And of course, everybody is not a racist. Of course, there's some good white folk. God knows there are. But we don't see those when it's time to stand up for black causes. Now you get a few, now I ain't gonna lie, they march with the civil rights, even, you know, we've seen a real influx of whites like I've never seen before during the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, that was like, wow, that's something, you know. But I think we're trying to get there. I can't be mad. He comes from North, they from the South. I told you that one time, Raheem, when I was training the law enforcement in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I was talking about, you know, how they have that attitude where, you know, they use the word colored. They still use the word colored. I'm like, what? Are you serious? They still use the word colored people? And I did not know that they haven't. That's not an insult to them. They haven't moved past that scale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you know, there's people still believe in that. Get the ticket, get the ticket right there. Get the ticket.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you know, but the attitude is, you know, it's still real, man. There's still people there. So when I did that training, and I'm trying to get them from down south to understand the attitude from up north, they laughed at me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they said, oh, Captain, they still use the word colored people down here.
Wow.
So I realized there's still some people that have not advanced because not only do people use it, but it has become very acceptable by black people for it to be used
Mm-hmm.
down south. You know, they accept it. Hey, where did that guy go? That colored fella right over there. There's that colored fella. Instead of, you know, the black police officer, when he goes to the white guy's house and he asks, sir, you called, you said there was a guy that looks suspicious. Yeah, the colored fella, he had a blue jacket, the colored guy. But the black police officer don't say to him, you know, wow, man, colored. But he accepted it because that's the lingo down there.
Good deal.
So there's still people, Raheem, that have not moved past that.
Mm-hmm.
And that man from north trying to get somebody up south to get out their comfort zone, it really gonna take a while. It's gonna really, because they gonna feel uncomfortable. You taking some whites to all black events, and they got this perception. Listen to me, this perception of black people. They gonna feel uncomfortable. I don't think it may not be so much they have a problem with black people. Because I think that the way the narrative is going on this show is they have a problem, but I don't think it may be a problem, right? I just think they may feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's on my heart, right?
Good deal. Good deal. Cassandra, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Hey, Raheem, before we go there with the conversation, we also need to make it a point. Integration did not include churches. People have to be aware of that. Integration didn't include churches.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they stayed so separate so long.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It's still like that. A lot of them to like that today.
Exactly. Cassandra, what's on your heart? You know, we got a lot going on right now. This is Way Out Wednesday. We got a lot going on naturally, as we do on Wednesdays. So what's on your heart right now?
You know, I just would stick with the conversation that's been happening. I've told this story before that I worked with a white regional manager when I was managing a shoe store in Atlanta. And me and this man had a great relationship. I mean, I almost looked at him like a father type figure.
Yes.
He would do things for my ministry. You know, he would allow me to bless people with shoes that we had. Instead of sending them back to the company, he would let me just give them away. So we had a really good relationship. And, there were times personally when I was going through stuff where he would, help me out. And so one day I was talking to him and I said, hey, you are so, and he knew I was in ministry. I said, you are so kind. And he said, I said, I would love to visit your church one day. And he looked at me and he said, Cassandra, he said, honestly, I don't believe that Black people should go to white churches or white people should go to
Wow.
black. That thing hurt me so bad. I mean, it felt like he stuck a dagger in me because,
Yeah.
it was like, what? He said, yeah. He said, the people at my church, he said, we've never had a Black person come to our church. And he said, I know that they believe that same thing, like I do, that Black people should not go to white churches and white
Wow.
people should not go to Black churches. What an eye opener and painful thing for me, because I was doing, civil rights stuff back then. And it just, it blew my mind that there was actually people that still, I mean, I knew there were people that believed that, but I would never have guessed that he would go along with that or believe that that's the way it should be. So, it was a painful lesson to learn, but I learned it. It
Wow.
was painful.
And that, sad enough, Cassandra, that was reality. That was
Yeah.
a piece of reality that a lot of people don't want to deal with. And
Mhm.
I like to look at things from both angles. It's terrible that it's like that. It's terrible that he felt or his church feel that way. But I also have to look at the good side, if there is a good side, that he told you instead of you just popping up at the church, want to
Popping
surprise
up.
him one day
Mhm.
and going in to a hostile situation, to a very hostile
Mhm.
environment. And so it's so many different things. It's so many different levels line up on that right there. There's so many different levels, but again, it's reality. Curtis, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, what's up, bro? What's going on? How y'all doing, family?
Hey, doing good, brother. What are you hearing, man? Because you live in Columbia, and this happened over in Batesburg. Batesburg,
Trouble.
yeah, that's exactly, so
Very
I could
good.
tell you because you're familiar with the area. It happened in Batesburg.
Mm,
Yeah. And
mm,
he said that
mm.
he came from up north. He came from up north to take over the church. And he said that he will come to the event, but nobody in his congregation will come because it's a quote unquote Black event. And like Zamari said, we wasn't putting it out there as a Black event. We wasn't putting it out there like that. We was putting it out there as an event. We would like you all to come and support this event that we're having. So, Curtis, what are you hearing?
Well, you know,
And knowing that area.
unlike, go ahead.
I say,
My bad.
knowing that area.
And knowing that area, there's a lot of self-perpetuated ignorance going on in that area, especially in the Caucasian community.
Mm.
They are so bent on holding on to power, or perceived power anyway, that they'll cut their nose off to spite their face. And
Wow.
I'm like Cat, you know what I mean? Like you have Black, you have white, but the stronger thing is we are the human race, right? And in my opinion, listening to everything that's going on, what you have, and I put a message in there, man. Look, what you have is the teachings of a bunch of lies. Look, let's just call it what it is. It's the teaching of a bunch of lies to make one particular group and or sect and or culture in a given place maintain or obtain power over another group and or sect and or culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, I heard you ask the question, how do we get past that? It's a real simple answer. Teach the truth. You know, I heard, I believe it was Donald was talking about Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ taught the truth. He was murdered for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we begin to teach, or at least throw it out there, that the Bible is inclusive, brothers. We're all in there.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the cultures of the world, and then you go back and you look in your Bible, and you hear all these names of all these areas and cities and blah, 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 and you trace it all back, we all in there. The problem is that there's been this great lie that, for example, Africans had nothing to do with the Bible. You all just talked about the Sumerians, a culture that created writing, culture that created mathematics, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
They were Negroes. They were mistreated Negroes. What was stolen from them was the knowledge of being able to communicate, the knowledge of commerce, that all of that was stolen from them. But that's a culture of Negroes. If y'all don't believe me, you can check it for yourself. And they were mistreated then. They were mistreated then and was pretty much considered some of the most loving people in that region.
Mm.
That's why they're in the Bible.
Mm.
I'll land the plane here. Because Cap said something really powerful that a lot of people don't like to say, especially when we're having a conversation about black and white. I took an oath to be my brother's keeper. So I don't care if you black or if you white, if you candy striped. If you are a human being, I took an oath to be your keeper. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The simple fact is, whatever is white is black. Whatever is black is connected to white.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think when a president or anybody who lay in state, if they're Caucasian, why do you think that casket is never open? You ever ask yourself that? Why is the casket never open, Raheem?
Mm.
I'll give you the answer. The longer you lay in state, the more days, and we all know this from just our regular experiences, the longer you lay in state, the darker the skin becomes.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is, by natural law of science, man reverts back to from whence he came. Mankind will always revert back to from whence he came, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just take Gerald Ford, for example, because I think he laid in state the longest, right? Had they opened that casket, they would have thought that it would have been conspiracies all around the world, that Gerald Ford was still alive. He jumped out the casket. They replaced it with a black man.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Stay right there. That's you put a lot out there, brother. Stay right there. Two Salt, what's on your heart? Told you what the tea coming to you next.
I think that people have a right to not like me, and I'm good with it. There are some things that I don't even worry about, because I know I've been in this skin and in the South for, it is what it is, whether it's church or just community or whatever. But I've learned to meet people where they are. had a guy, and I knew he was probably, I assume, that he was a Klan member. Grab the other end of that. We can pick it up together. It don't make me no difference who you, how you feel.
Yeah.
I just need to get it done. So sometimes, just me. It's just me. Some things I don't worry about. I don't care. I don't really care, because people are people.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be people. One thing, there's always gonna be a separation. There are always gonna be a division. I work with people that work with me. And if they're doing something, I'm gonna work with them. I don't care. Don't make me no difference. Because the rest of it is a waste of time. And it's kind of like we think like the world. We say, well, they like that. Well, we like that too. When we really think about it. And then when we start talking about the we and they, we separate. So I try not to. Now there's some people that I don't fool with. I don't care what some, they got some people that look like me. I don't fool with them because they crazy.
Yeah.
For real. They act strange. They have a strange spirit about themselves. Be like, you're talking about a cultural shock. They Lord have mercy. You talking about a snake pen service, picking up snakes, talking about, well, if the viper bites you, you won't be harmed, and but they got some things that go on in our churches, man. I be like, raise the finger up. It's time for me to go, cause y'all crazy, for real. But the main thing about it is spirituality and Christianity and religion ain't helped nobody yet. And there's a lot of people that are religious, white, black, candy stripe, whatever it is. And that's a hindrance to all that we're trying to do. Everything. Just, I'm religious. Oh, yeah. And lost. Pharisees, Sadducees, and scribes were religious folks. And them religious folks, the Lord of glory. Ain't that something? Trying to do the right thing in the name of the Lord. They had a little fella, young man, holding the coats when they stoned Stephen, called him Saul. And he had he thought he was doing God a service. They got folks that think they're doing God a service in the way that they conduct themselves because they look at people a certain way.
Wow.
And just because they're in their own mindset. They got a right, they got a zeal, but it ain't about no good. Is that Lord, I sound really Southern when I said that.
You caught yourself that time, didn't you? You caught yourself. Oh Lord, my God. Let me go to Toya with a T. Toya, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. What we talk about? Y'all better catch me before I go back to sleep. I just woke up now.
Stop
Maybe
it
stay
already.
there too long, and next time you come around.
Exactly. Toya, but let me ask you this question. We're talking about racism, and I gave the example of something that, well, it ain't going away. Did it go away?
Lord. No, I'm just saying I gotta deal with it already every day. Dang, I gotta come out here and talk about it. I gotta deal with these folks over here at this Brave Stadium, and if you don't know, 75% of them is. Oh, my bad. Let me leave that one.
Okay, let back. But let me ask you this question right here. And I don't know whether you was listening to the conversation that was
Morning,
happening.
y'all. Sorry, morning. Go Flamin'.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
How y'all doing?
They doing good. Toya, if we were to wake up tomorrow morning, and just gonna put it out there like this: if we wake up tomorrow morning and all racism is gone away, and it's all gone away. Everybody look at each other on an equal playing field. It's an equal and balanced playing field. It's all gone away. How much of a discomfort would that make for some people? Or would it make a discomfort?
I I think it will only irritate the devils.
Mm.
So racism already gone for me. That's for me. To me, it don't exist, right? Instances keep coming up to show me that other people still believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we are in the world. But it's only going to aggravate the evil people. So, I'm not going to say I was a racist, but I was angry a lot at the world.
Mm-hmm.
And holding on to that anger helped me justify my actions. And it helped me be who I was at the time. So some people don't want to let go of it because then they'll have nothing to be angry at no more. There'll be no more fuel to drive them. Like I said, I think it's about the demonic evil people. They're the ones that want to hold on to that. But I think for the rest of the world, I think we try to navigate through life without creating racism. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really strange to me because it's like, now I know some people are racist, but where's all these people that y'all talking about? Because every white person I meet, I come across a lot of white folks, and when I tell you they are the best acting like they're not racist people ever, if that's the case, because I don't see it anymore. But I know there's some out there. You know what I mean? So I think that for the most part, those of us that, believe in respect and morals, we try to not entertain racism, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still think I can't stand it. But I still think, the ones who, need that power, right? So if the KKK was to wake up tomorrow and racism was gone, they would be aggravated because that's the power that they use to fuel their organization.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? That's like taking sickness out of America. Do you know what Big Pharma's going to do? They create the sickness. So for them to actually take sickness out of America, we finna start losing money. So I think that is a huge industry that the devil runs. I don't think it'll ever go anywhere. I mean, until, God gets rid of the devil. That's racism not going to go anywhere. But I said it before. I have the right to not like someone for whatever reason. I'm with Tucson. You can not like me. It's okay. I'm cool with that. Hell, I got brothers, sisters, cousins that don't like me. Good. I don't care. Because we're not on the same page anyway, you devils. It don't make no difference. You got a right to not like me. And if you want to not like me because you a devil and I'm not, then you have that right. You understand what I'm saying? But I definitely believe when it comes to racism and any kind of negative feelings, behaviors, actions, beliefs, the only people that are going to be mad is the demons. And like I was saying in the chat, maybe them in vitro fertilization kids you thought you was putting together in a test tube, and then you wonder why they ain't got no feelings. Them artificial insemination babies walking around here, and you wonder why they ain't got no feeling because it ain't from God. So if we do some research, you'll find out that some of these atrocities are from people who are created in a lab and not by God. I mean, I'm just saying, I got all kind of stuff thrown in my head, honey.
Lord Jesus.
You got these Cabbage Patch Kids walking around here. And he's sitting up here wondering why you ain't making it through the night. Because your children of the corn did it to you. Y'all seen that movie?
We're gonna stop Toya with the T right there. We're gonna stop her right there, not right there, but right there. Zamar, talk to me, sis. What's on your heart?
Toya, you're wrong for that. You're wrong for that. I love you, girl. She always got something snarky. I love it though. It's funny. I don't know where we at. There's a couple of things that.
What's on your heart? Like I said, we don't have a on Wednesday. We don't have
I don't know. You know what? I want to kind of go back. Let's go back to the religion thing for a minute because I think it was Curtis. I think it was Curtis. It was either Curtis or Leonard. I'm sorry. I'm still tired. But one of y'all had said something about when we were talking about the religion thing, and I think even Toussaint may have mentioned it too about that spirit of religion, right? That and they don't know God. They don't really know God. They don't really know what that looks like or what that is or what that means. And it just kind of took me back to my childhood And growing up with the Mormon church, I didn't know who God was. I didn't have that feeling, that spiritual awakening, if you will. Didn't know him as an adult. And it wasn't until, now we're going to go back to the Pentecost. Wasn't until I got in that Pentecostal church. And let me tell you, when I say they rocked my world.
Wow.
Because I walked in there and they're doing their Pentecostal thing. And I'm just sitting back like, I think I might be in the wrong place. I don't know about this. This is a little crazy because I'm used to that old school, right? Singing the hymns while you're sitting in your bench next to your neighbor, all that old stuff, because that's what the Mormons do when they sit there and they act like they're the perfect good Christian. They ain't. They're not. They all lying. But it wasn't until I got in that Pentecostal church, Tuesday night meetings.
Something came over you.
And something came over. Now, and it wasn't immediately. It wasn't the first week. It wasn't the second week. It wasn't even the first month. But it was like this transition, this slow transition. God was doing something, right? And I didn't know what it was at first. And I'd get up there. Yeah, music was great. And okay, yeah, I can get it. I can get along with this. I like this. This is good. But it wasn't until I finally stopped fighting and wanted my way, right? I wanted to be in control. And I gave up at the altar one night, and that's all it took. But I didn't understand. I didn't understand any of this. So it's just, but with the religious factor of this, okay, even after then you have all the people in the church who think that they know something. And then they start coming to your house and trying to teach you this and do that. That religious spirit that y'all talking about, that's the one that says you shouldn't have a Christmas tree. That's the one that says, oh, you can't celebrate this holiday because it's of the devil. You can't go trick-or-treating because it's of the devil. But yet, at the church, what are they doing? They're holding a fall festival, and all the kids are dressing up, and they're passing out candy. Isn't that the same thing? That's that religious spirit. And I don't like that stuff either. And that's where I found what real righteousness was. Holy righteousness. Because then that started stirring up in me. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is the difference between religious folk and true spiritual folk. And in that church, I can probably, and it was a big church, but I can probably count on one hand how many people in there that I had contact with that were truly spiritual and had that relationship.
Wow.
And they were incredible people. And those were the ones that I looked to with how do I cultivate this relationship that you got? Because I want that too.
Yeah, that's good.
And they were amazing folks. But man, Pentecostal churches, Rico, if you've never been to one, you need to go.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Cassandra, what's on your heart? Tucson coming to you next. Cassandra? Tucson, Cassandra might be in a bad spot right now. So what's on your heart, brother?
I remember the old song when Zamari started talking about she's sitting in that church and all of a sudden something happened. Remember that old song said, I've got nothing but the Holy Ghost. And so if we get to the point that we just yield, I mean, we got to let our mindset and our personal beliefs, let it go. And just surrender, not to religion, but to spirituality and righteousness.
Yes.
Just do what's right. Treat people like you want to be treated. Here's what he says. He said, I tell you what, and it's just me paraphrasing. Leonard, I'm going way out and paraphrase. I tell you what, since you can't do all the rest of the commandments, he says, I tell you what, Let's narrow this thing down. Love one another.
Mm. Wow.
Hang all the laws and the prophets. Love the Lord thy God with all your heart and mind and soul, and your neighbor as yourself. Let's do that. How about that? Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
That would make it so simple that you won't have to worry about racism. You won't have to worry about high-mindedness, prejudices. You don't have to worry about none of that.
Mm-hmm.
Just do you.
Yeah.
Just do the good that's in you. The good, there's a good in you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're purple. You can be purple people. I'm good with you. Don't make me no difference.
Yeah.
You can wear an earring. You can have earring in your tongue and your nose too. Tattoos all over the place. But just do right by people, by God and other folks. Don't make no difference whether you've been on drugs for 40 years. It don't make me no difference. It got nothing to do with me. But just give it up. Give over to treating. First of all, love yourself. Don't love yourself too much that you can't make some kind of sacrifice to love somebody else.
Yeah.
Treat everybody the same. Love them like you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do that.
Try it.
And just try that. I mean, just back up. I know you believe a certain way. I know you think a certain way, but just back up a little bit and just use, for example, everybody got one good example that you know that God has put somebody in your life that you can take a good look at. Don't worry about all of them bad church folk you talking about. Anybody studying that? Ain't because I ain't studying them. I'm talking about the ones that you know, they might not even go to church, but the church comes to them.
Yeah.
They are the church, kind of like Cassandra. Cassandra ain't studying about no four wall. I don't do four wall ministry either. Anybody studying that? Raising hell about changing the light bulb.
Yeah, come on.
That ain't about a quarter. So if we can't do all the rest, let's just make it simple and just love each other.
Exactly.
That's why I like this little group right here. We all from different backgrounds, different cultures. Some of us can make the claim. I'm starting to not believe you. Talking about, well, I'm just not Christian, or I'm just not religious, or I don't know nothing about God in the Bible. You sure acting like it.
Come on. Good deal.
Because there's a God in you that's coming out every once in a while. I'm just saying.
He stand up.
Yeah, because people, and I'm saying this, and I shut up. People say, well, I'd rather see the word than hear the word any day of the week. How about that?
That's right. Gonna go in this order right here. We're gonna go Captain, Leonard, and then Rico. Cap, what's on your heart?
Man, my man just I like how he would say. I want to go back to something I said because as I listened to it.
Hey Cap, you're real low. Your volume's real low.
How we sound?
I think
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you might got your window rolled down or something. I think that's what it is. Get a little background noise. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. What I was saying is I wanted to clear up something because I don't want nobody to misunderstand me.
Okay, we can't hear you at all now. We can't hear you. We can't. No, It's real low. It's very low. It's very low.
Hold on one second. Let's take it off this car.
Okay.
Now we sound out.
There you go.
Okay, good. I take it off the car. Listen, I just want to clear up something I said because I don't want anybody to misunderstood what I said. When I talked about black is the only color, I didn't mean that in terms of race. I meant that if you had a box of crayons and you look at all the colors in the box of crayons, white is the absence of all those colors. That's what I meant.
Okay.
No, there's only one race, and that's the human race.
Yeah.
So I just want to let y'all know I didn't mean black race versus color. So I don't want nobody to people have a tendency to hear what they want to hear. But anyway, get back to the point. I think what we have to understand is that black people have always accepted white people. That's because we are people who have come under 379 years of physical bondage. So, you know, we always want to be accepted. That's why we march, we fall, and we crawl in, we shut in. Acceptance. So we've always accepted white people. When that guy came to that church in Charleston, South Carolina, I mean, the black church immediately let him in. I'm sure, and I can't bank on it, but I'm sure if a brother with his head turned sideways, I don't think the black folks have been so quick to invite him to Bible study. Maybe they could be wrong. I could be wrong with that. But they were so quick and happy. Oh, because why? It's because we have a heart of acceptance.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon. It just ain't uncommon with us. When I listen to everybody black on this line, we are moving to the point where we tired of the race problem. But, you know, I can imagine that those who listen to us who are not black and white folks, here we go with the race thing again. Well, what has to be understood is, as Sister T said, I don't want to deal with it on here because I got to leave my house and deal with it.
Yeah.
I rate every one of us, and only one that don't have a problem being dealt with because they're black is Dr. Leonard. Dr. Leonard is the only dude on here. He never gets stopped. He never gets treated other than he's Dr. Leonard, not because he's black. But the bottom line, every one of us, and I'm going to talk about myself, I can't speak for everybody, but when you live, now listen to this is not racist, but this is a fact. We live in an all-white, male-dominant society. Period. I didn't create that. So when you live in an all-white, dominant male society, then they make up the rules. Now, if the rules could be inclusion or the rules could be exclusion. But the bottom line is, we who are not the dominant have to adjust to the dominant. So every day, my ex brother-in-law just was killed yesterday.
Wow.
In Houston, Texas, by the police. Just yesterday. I'm dealing with my sister-in-law. Just got off the phone with her. And I got to deal with it. And of course, you know, the officer's white. Why did they kill him? He's parked. He's sitting in the car, and his girlfriend goes into the store. And evidently, out of all the people sitting in the lot, the police officer want to run a 50 on the license plate. Police officer gets out the car, goes to approach my brother-in-law. Said the car is stolen. He has to deal with that because they had dealt with that. He had papers. He had to deal with it. They had papers. The car was stolen. The police officer told him, officer, and he jerked him out the car. And the sad reason why my ex-brother-in-law is dead today is because he fought the police. And he got the better of the police officer, according to the witnesses. He whooped that officer, and the other officer came up on the scene, seeing him on top of the other officers just wailing on him. And of course, he didn't answer what you're doing. He didn't say get off of him. He came and he shot him 5 times. Now, the question is, why all of a sudden you just want to 50 on him and the man tried to tell you, was it because he was black sitting there? Did he look suspicious? So we deal with every day. Black mothers have to teach their sons how to act when you stop by the police today. White folks don't do that. Some do. But the majority of white folks, they don't do that. They have these Mayberry police officers. But the bottom line is, it's a reality, family. And I like the fact that we deal with it, but we have always showed everybody on this line, I think everyone is wonderful human beings. We don't have to wear our humanity as a badge. Our conversation tells you what kind of human beings we are, but we real.
Yeah.
And I like to see a all inclusive, where there's no color, everything is colorless. But hey, I don't think not in my lifetime. It will get there. I do believe one day. I do believe it will get there one day. I just don't believe I will live to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wow.
I bet you this. If we can't get it because of equality, then what's going to happen is the darker people is going to breathe a new reality.
Good deal.
Over 50 to 100 years from now, there's going to be a new reality. And then now, when that reality changes and the dominant and the majority become the minority and the minority become the majority, then rules will be set and people will have to adapt to the majority. I don't know how that's going to act. I don't think it's going to be injustice, but I think there's always been a fear of some whites. When we do to them what they did to us, if they got in the power. And of course, we proved that just ain't our style. We don't have that kind of nature.
Absolutely. Good deal. Good deal. Let me go to see Leonard and then Rico. Then we're gonna circle our way back around.
Anyway, I don't know why Cap said what he said, but I can't figure it out. He may have to send me a pigeon or something. But
you say send you a pigeon?
I'll wait on it.
There you go.
But it is necessary for people to really grasp the concept of humanity above and beyond what you would like to believe, what you're comfortable with, or what you have chosen, or how you have chosen to live. To believe that you are less than to me is just like an alternative lifestyle. To believe that somehow somebody has so much power, that's an alternative lifestyle to me. Because I was not raised that way.
Mm-hmm.
My writing includes so much critical race theory. I'm very secure and knowledgeable of racism and what it has done, and being a part in leading organizations to fight against it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't do is fight against people's personal behavior, personal attitudes, and things of that nature. I'm against injustice for whatever the reason may be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not preoccupied by it. I've never looked down at because I was black, never was looked down upon. I don't even associate with people that behave that way.
Mm-hmm.
When we sit down at a table, we know what side I am on all the time. I have just as many black people that dislike what I say more than whites. I even sometimes scared to voice that opinion. Mm-hmm. However, it does not change the fact that one, there is a righteous way. And if you can't get with it, then you just can't get with it. Live by the sword, that's how you gonna die. Because that's all you want to do is fight. You will find a reason to fight, some people will. If it wasn't for racism, there'd be no Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
So we must be very clear on what we are allowing to control us and our behavior. It is up to you to stop that. It is up to you to deal with that. No one else. You can come together and fight this great enemy. And we can win. But not as long as people cling to those things that make them weak.
Mm.
That
wow.
Your belief in less than is what makes you so weak.
Mm-hmm.
Our African brothers who have never been slaves, they don't feel the same way you do. If you get into Pan-Africanism, which everybody is aware of, go read it. If you had to think about us before you were called black or white, if you care to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So when people try to make claims and mix their values and their beliefs with what is genuine in the origin of things, I see Zamari had put some things in the chat about the tattoos. One of the reasons why you should be questioned is because you put it on your skin for everybody to see. There are some symbols that some of you wear on your bodies you have no idea. You just like the way they look. But you can't change that symbol just because you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has a history. So we have to be very careful of certain things and what people profess. If we say nothing, if you decided to put it on your body for all to see everywhere you go, you shouldn't think, guess what? Someone's going to ask you about them.
Mm-hmm.
What about these folks got all these swastikas and everything tattooed on them? I am to believe that you something other than what you have presented? Then you're going to have to explain that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we have to understand that context when we go into things and take things for face value. If you really want things to be different, you got to be different.
Mm-hmm.
You got to insist on peace where you are at. You got to insist on certain things. You can't just sit around and hope somebody like you. So my experience with white folk is different.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good deal. Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. Let's go to Rico, and then we're gonna circle around. We're gonna go Badger. We're gonna circle around to a couple other people that's here. We got a couple of people that just called in on the phone. I want to bring them into the conversation as well. It's going very well. This is Wednesday, Way Out Wednesday. Don't look for a topic. We don't have one. We have open and honest dialogue. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
You was the question of the topic is about if racism was the end today.
Yes.
Could you phrase that again?
Yeah, if we wake up tomorrow morning and racism is totally gone, it don't exist, everybody looking at each other on face value, would that shock some people? Would that hurt some people? Or would that make some people very uncomfortable?
It'll do all the above. I mean, it just won't be received the same way by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's gonna make some people uncomfortable. It's gonna make some people very, very happy. Then it's gonna make some people that benefit and profit from it very unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Because believe it or not, there's a lot of people that benefit from it. A lot of people that have a privilege from it. You know, and depending on how this racism ends, you know, they're gonna be very suspicious or very leery of, you know, what that just what they're talking about now. You mean to tell me that, you know, they got a system in place now that's gonna make sure that I get the same amount of time as these black folks been getting? You mean to tell me they got a system in place that ain't gonna allow them to just let me go on even though I'm driving with suspended license and drugs but just because I know so and so I look like I'm a good guy and just be a slap on the wrist? You mean to tell me that won't nobody be able to get away with like those guys did with Ahmaud Arbery for 2 months?
Mm-hmm.
Some of that privilege. You know, some people are not going to accept that because they know they got privilege. Y'all heard those stories about that family of attorneys up in South Carolina, the Murdaughs?
Yeah.
Man, white privilege at its best.
Mm.
You know, folks been killing people and robbing people so bad to the point that he killed his own wife and son, and that man got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
People been snitching on him and telling on him. His brother's still alive today, running around here talking about, I think he innocent. They got a long line of privilege, a legacy of power, sitting up on the probate seats and judgeships. My granddaddy was a judge. He ran this town. And all those grandboys, we went out and we did this and and it passed on down and it passed on down. And they ran across one that was so spoiled and ruined that he didn't even want to pass it on to his children. He killed one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Low down and dirty. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I ain't going to say pretty sure because I saw some stuff the other day that showed the other side of their story that people don't talk about, how they manipulated and got over on black people, how they preyed on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, legally, through the judicial system. I ain't going to say illegally, but they preyed on the fact that they didn't know the legal system.
Mm-hmm.
People that won lawsuits for $2 and $3 and $4 million and didn't get but $100,000 of it because he got the rest of it and didn't let them know.
Mm.
So, I mean, nah, man, if that was the end today, and it really was a plan in place to where they were like saying communism, where they say they'll prosecute you and it's against the law, goodness gracious, man, these folks will act a fool around here, man.
Wow.
It would be a problem. There would be some randomness, you know. Man, I mean, you know, there has been plenty of times in recent history where people in celebration or in disagreement, decided that they want to get their big trucks, ride around with big rebel flags and crash people's birthday parties and harass people on the road and shoot them and do all kind of random stuff. Militias and Patriot Act. I mean, all these different groups and, you know what I'm saying, what they call them, I guess they call them militias. Yeah, the militias, all these little different organizations and groups, the white nationalists and this and that. They start plotting to overrun capitals and stuff and kidnap governors. I mean, so yeah, man, it'll be a fool, man. This will go crazy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say it's gonna be widespread, but you do want to make sure that you're not vulnerable and end up being like one of those people in the church in Charleston.
Exactly.
Because there's gonna be somebody out there looking to do something.
Wow. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
I was really thinking about that question because I think there are those that wouldn't even realize that it's gone. There are going to be those that it's going to hit hard because they're going to have to figure out a new way to think. And then there are going to be the evil humans that are going to work hard to find something new to replace it with. And that's humanity.
Wow.
When you don't have one thing, they'll try to create something else to keep the public fighting. So that's all throughout history. I mean, just everything about our history. There's always been those that are the evil ones that eventually end up gaining power, getting people to agree with them because they're like, hey, look at me. You know, I have all this money. I have all these things. I have this castle. So I must be righteous. I must be doing the right thing. So therefore, listen and follow what I say. And if racism completely disappears, it get replaced with something else. Unless it's just one of those things of if that's gone, and God decides to never let it get replaced with anything else, then that'd be cool. I just looking at human history, if that disappears, something else will probably take its place. And that's history. That's every time we turn around, you know, there's a lot of messed up things going on in this world right now. I just found out the Supreme Court's trying to overturn the ICWA, the Indian Children Welfare Act. They're talking about overturning that.
Wow.
Which means that the government can come in and take the kids again. So
that's crazy.
There's all kinds of stuff going on of these evil human beings just doing things to keep us fighting among one another. And we are influenced in our everyday lives by the racism, the systematic racism by these evil humans. We are affected by the classism. We are affected by their greed with the way they run things. I saw and there's so many examples of it.
Stay right there. Good deal. And you're absolutely right. There's a lot of different examples, but like I said, right now we're talking about if racism were to end, what would that do? Totally come to an end. Wake up tomorrow morning,
something would replace it. Is my opinion.
Okay. Good deal. Well,
good morning. Morning, Raheem. Good morning.
Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
I am doing wonderful this morning. I thank God for waking me up. Good morning, Morning Glow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Got a question for you. If we wake up in the morning and racism as we know it no longer exists, everybody's on an equal and honest playing field, what would that do to some people? Would some people be happy, sad, mad, confused, or out of position? Or what would that do? What would that leave us?
great question, Raheem, and a great imagination.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because of the fact that if that was to happen, then I don't believe that people would even think to even talk about something that didn't even exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact that it happened and we're all on one accord. So maybe we just wouldn't be confused. I don't know. I don't know what the world would be like, but I know it'll probably be a better world. Because as long as we live, the Bible tells us that we're going to have racism and hatred and the poor with us always. Because of the evilness that's on this world, that's in this world, how we live, how we walk, how we talk, how we treat each other. So it would be a wonderful world if the world was like that. So, this kind of stemmed from our conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
People choosing to do the right thing in life, helping one another.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, Raheem, it ain't going to happen.
Wow.
It ain't going to happen. Not this time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what's on my heart, Raheem.
Good deal. Good deal. Ryan, what's on your heart, brother? What would it be if it was to totally go away, no longer exist? Racism is gone. What would that do to us?
I don't think it would do anything to us. To be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
I think that and I'm that person who may be way outside the box, right? I don't think it's as prevalent as people make it out to be. I think people take that word and they over abuse it. They'll take something that's not even close to being in the box of something to deal with that word, and they throw it on there like it's a label for the grocery store. That's my opinion.
But see, that's and that's good. Everybody have their opinion. Like I always say, I'm not here to give anybody their opinion. You already have your own. But my thing is it's tough. It's tough to say that when you see all these racist acts that happen every day.
But again, you can go back and rewind time to earlier today, and I believe someone had mentioned Black Lives Matter movement, right?
Yes.
And the vast majority of people that I saw in those movements were not black.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was quite a few, yes, obviously, but you seeing people from all walks of life come out, right? And it puts it into a scale perspective. And again,
is that
like we were saying earlier,
is that a mirror of the civil rights movement? There's a lot of people in the civil rights movement that were not black as well, but that does not mean that there's that element, but that does not take away from the element of people that has done so many racist acts throughout history from back then even up until probably something's going on right now as we're speaking. That's very racist.
But is that the majority? No. I think that's an extreme. I think that's an extreme minority. People have been fighting racism since the beginning of time.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? All walks of life. People were oppressed by blacks way back in the day. The Moors, when they ruled the world. It's been a constant cycle, right? But I feel like when you look at the globe in its entirety, as you like to say, that it's not as extreme and it's not as prevalent. Is it in the system? Sure, of course. Of course it's in the system. That's something that needs to be corrected, but that needs to be corrected by the people because they ain't gonna fix themselves, right?
Would you agree that if I was to say the very fiber of what built this country that we live in right now is based on racism, would you agree with that?
I don't, because I know my history.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of factors that people like to rule out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes to talk about the how that was brought about, right? And you didn't see, and so forgive me for doing this, but it's going to be stereotypical, right? So let's say, the way it's made out is that white people sailed a ship to Africa and started taking people. That's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
You know, black people in positions of power started selling their people for shiny objects to the slave traders, which weren't white, they were Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with a friend of mine. I said, so to put in perspective, white folks back then were sickly and frail, and most of them that were on ships covered in scurvy. So you mean to tell me that they went to a different continent where people's livelihood or their life depended on running away from animals that were way faster than them, and these sickly dudes got off the ship and threw nets on people and brought them back?
Okay.
Like, people take things out of context. You see what I'm saying? Like,
see, you're dealing with that part of it, and I got to pull some more people because I know there's a lot of people that want to say something
yeah.
about.
I'm trying to wrap it up, but
my thing is this right here. You're saying that, but the question I asked you was, this country right here was built on racism. We can add how they got how people got here and all that. We can add all that in the equation. But my question is stemmed on, once they got here, was this country built? The country as we know it today, was it built? The very fiber of it was built on racism and what they did to a certain group of people.
I don't think it was, because the first people that were enslaved in this country were not of a different skin tone.
See, okay, see, you
came after.
I don't. Maybe I'm very clumsy in my delivery of this question, but you're not answering the question that I'm asking you.
I said no.
Okay, so you don't think so? Okay, let's go to Curtis.
No, I don't believe it.
Okay, that's your opinion, brother. That's it. You're welcome to that.
YouTube made a correction for Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
He said that they were Spaniards, not Puerto Ricans.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Curtis.
Yeah, I'll thank you, Badger. Thank you, Badger, because Puerto Rican. I don't know. That's my brother, man. That's all. That's my brother.
Talk directly to your phone, Curtis. You're a little bit low.
What? Wow.
Come on, man. Time is money, brother. Come on.
The ignorance of this nation is overwhelming. I'm just gonna call it straight. The ignorance of this nation is overwhelming. Everybody on this phone knows that this nation was built off the back of slavery, both economically, physically, agriculturally. Everything about this nation was built off the back of slavery. The reason why the Indians was treated so bad was because the Indians refused to. The Indians refused to accept the fact that you're gonna make me do anything. Historically, let's go past this. Let's go after the Emancipation Proclamation. I said it before, I'll say it again. The first people to receive any kind of reparations here in this country was the white slave owner. As a result of slavery, he is the only person who has received reparations. We don't want to talk about that. But I'm gonna talk about something a little more engaging for this whole conversation. When you think black and white, right? We have to start to deal with how intricately we are connected. Scripturally, how intricately we are connected. Because see, somewhere I read there's a story about two brothers named Cain and Abel. When you talk about racism, you got to see it outside of the paradigm of just hatred. You got to see it from a paradigm of jealousy, of envy, of just about every single sin that could be committed. And it could go back to Cain and Abel. And you know what? The Asian community might be giving us a tool or might be giving us a jewel that we have been ignoring. Because if you bring it to them, how many people actually pay attention to the yin and the yang? What color is the yin and the yang, Raheem?
Black and white.
It's black and white, right?
Yes.
Now go back to the Bible. Go back to the curse.
Mm-hmm.
What did God say to Eve when he cursed her? He said, I will put anonymity between your seed and thy seed, and the feet of one shall bruise the head of the other.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, when you look at the yin and the yang, what does that look like, Raheem?
It's a circle. It's a circle with a black part and
What does it
a
look
white.
like in science, brother?
Huh?
What does it look like in?
Or you the direction you? I'm trying to figure out the direction you're going in. Are you talking about like a DNA or something?
It looks like a sperm cell.
Okay.
If you pay attention to it, it looks like a sperm cell.
Mm-hmm.
And the feet of one sets at the head of the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have to see how we are both intricately connected and then tell the truth about it. Quit making up all these lies to justify our adolescent thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of truth in the man,
Mm-hmm. Wrap it
in
up for the
being
curse.
man,
Mm-hmm.
that we have to stand on, man. Look, I'm sorry. I'm tired, so I may sound scattered. But see, when I hear conversations like this, I tie it all together. I don't just tie together what is going on to prove a point. If I was to do that, then I could easily say, you know what? Brother Ryan is absolutely right, but here's what Brother Ryan left out. In certain African cultures, when you want to take control of that particular culture and or sect, once you come in and you raid it, you are supposed to kill off all the royal family. So there's some teachings that will teach you that, yeah, they sold them off because they knew they couldn't kill them. So they had to sell them off. So now that's the level of greed, which ties right back into Cain and Abel.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. On Tucson, I think you had a question or a comment. Cassandra, coming to you next.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Raheem?
Yes.
If we were to wake up and there was no more racism or a spirit of unity, somebody would say, "Where is it?"
Mm.
And almost kill to get it back.
Wow.
Let me throw you some. Let me throw something out at you. God got tired of us. 8 people. We talked about that earlier. 8 out of the whole mankind destroyed, including animals. A fresh start. Let me go back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He made the perfect man, and he found a way to jack it up.
Mm.
So let me go back forward. Destroyed them all with the flood. Got off, and he told them the same thing that he told Adam and Eve. Be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth. Go check it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what they did? Got to babble, and you have to excuse me. I'm going to get put out of the church, but I never was in some people's church anyway. They say, the hell with what are you talking about? We're going to stay right here.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, what we're going to do, man, we're going to build a tower to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to get together. Sometimes unity ain't too good.
Mm-hmm.
Because God had to confuse them, make us different. make us talk a different language.
Yeah.
Because nothing will be impossible for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what we want to do? We want to get there by our own means, and our own ability, so we can take the credit for it.
Wow. Wow.
If you had a perfect world, we'll jack it up again.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got this. We don't have a racial problem. We don't have a bias problem. We don't have a arrogant or stubborn or stiff-necked. All of that is the ingredients, but we got a sin problem.
Wow. Wow.
And we ain't aiming to fix that.
Exactly. Now, okay, Steve, let me go to Cassandra. Cassandra, you there?
Yes, I am.
Cassandra, what's on your heart? Lord.
Man, I don't know. I don't get it. If you know what, I'm gonna skip this. I'm not gonna say anything because no, I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay. Badger.
I mean, you saw what I posted. The whole system is the greed sin.
Mm-hmm.
And those that are evil human beings that let greed run them, and they're the ones that create racism. They're the ones that create classism. They're the ones that use Bible verses to say that black people are evil, or if someone's doing alchemy, herbology, they were witches. It's the evil human beings that will use any means necessary to cause others to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there are a lot of human beings that fell for it, that went along with it out of fear, out of, well, they must be right. They must be right because they have all of these things. So we must do what they say. And those that stood up against them were killed, slaughtered. Sometimes they won. You know, and right now that's kind of what's going on. No, it ain't kind of, it is what's going on. We finally have a lot more and more people every day that is getting fed up, that are overcoming their fear of their power and realizing that they have power too.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow throughout time, people have forgotten that spiritual connection and that there is a power that is greater than their power of greed.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And the more people learn that, we'll start evening out and overcoming a lot of that evil. And that's the big thing. That's the kicker. We have to overcome hate. We have to overcome fear. We have to overcome stigmas that these evil people use. And it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks with me being a white skin, having to fight other white skin folks, especially around where I live, that have such a hate, this misguided, nasty perception of a race of people.
Mm-hmm.
And the part that hurts me the most is a lot of it came from churches.
Wow. Steve,
and that's evil people using it for their personal gain.
Okay. Good deal. Let me go to Paul. Paul, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing all right. I just checked out the last couple minutes, so I don't know the exact topic. I just know you guys are talking about racism. So, can you fill me in on the original question?
Well, I think the part that you came in on was when it was talking about was this country built on the backs of certain individuals?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. There was a little disagreement on that. So, was it built on the backs of certain individuals? So,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, economists and historians have been well established that America would not have achieved its hegemony and its prevalence over world affairs without the enslavement of Africans and subjugation of Native Americans. It's well established. You know, if anyone wants to deny that, we can go into specifics, but I guess that leads to the next question is, okay, so then what do we do about that? You know, and that's where people disagree. Something, you know, some sort of reparation needs to be made. Exactly what type, that's where people disagree. I think not even some people won't even agree that that a harm should be redressed. I guess my overall comment is that things are so bad right now. I've said this before. There was a survey about people's opinions about race relations, and they're really at an all-time low. And the thing about that is social media. You know, I go on Twitter. I don't know if you guys ever go on Twitter, but yeah, I need to go on there less, to be honest, because every time I do, I feel so dirty afterwards, because everybody on there is like, look at these white people, look how bad they are. Oh yeah, well look at these black people, look how bad they are. Oh yeah, well look at these Latinos, look how bad. It's disgusting. This is the modern world we're in. People are getting crazier and crazier. They have guns. They want to hurt each other. So you know, we need to stand together, you know, as brothers, sisters, and say, you know, we want peace.
That's good. Okay.
So I'll talk to you.
Good deal. Tori, you want to tell you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm no, it's that work time now. Now I gotta get ready, get on, and get that little time be my little nap. I can nap a little more time. So sometimes y'all lose me.
There you
go. But no, yeah, no, good stuff. So I'm sorry. I'm just a realist, right? And I just have to call you for what you are. If you're white, you're white. If you're Latino, you're Latino. If you're black, you're black. There's differences with everyone. There are cultural differences with everyone. There are personality differences with everyone. And we all got the right to dislike something about somebody that's a specific. If you just happen to be this specific color, and y'all all do it. You understand what I'm saying? This is why I try to get up. I'm probably have to switch on my phone. But I just think that we have to admit abuse is abuse. The abuser never wants to admit that abuse has been in play, even if we are rectifying the after abuse. It's still hard to swallow that bitter pill and acknowledge that is the truth, and then still maneuver in that skin. That's an uncomfortable skin sometimes, and I think that's what happens when we discuss these topics with white people, because you're not in black skin. I don't care what you go through in life, you're still not getting treated like a black person, man. It's still a difference. You can say you don't see it because you know what, you don't live it. You can say it don't happen, you know why? Because that doesn't happen to you in black skin. Whatever happens to you in white skin. Whatever happens to you on Latino skin. So you may not be able to identify what happens to me in a woman's skin if you're a man. Again, you can say you can identify with me all you want to, but the fact is you do not know what cramps feel like. You can only tell me what you read, what you heard, what you researched, what you thought, what your mama told you. You understand what I'm saying? And I think this is where we come into our differences. We just cannot stop and be real. And nobody asked you about butt. Stop. Something was done to your child. There's no excuse. Let's go to the scenario. It was a movie on the other day, right? The little boy bothering the little girl. She said, stop. The little boy bothering the little girl again. She said, hey, I'm warning you now. Stop. So he does it again, and she tears that behind up. Bing, bong, bing, bong, bing. So now the parents is mad. But what you do to my... No. Stop it. The fact of the matter is that your child did this, that, and the third. You're mad. Why? Because he got that butt toe up more than what you expected. It really doesn't matter at that point because of the effects that your child caused to mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we kind of get to those disagreements when we talk to different people in different color skin. Nobody cannot just shut up. Stop. Right? It's nothing you can say about the abuse that I've went through or on this subject we went through. So sometimes just say nothing because you can't identify with it. There's writings and materials and researches that says what we are saying is true. But if you do not cling to that research, then you're not going to understand it because really you don't want to. You know, to empathize with that with me, you know what? I would have to feel some sorrow. And again, when I wanted to be the big bad wolf, when I wanted to be that other me that I was, I didn't want to let go of some of these things, even though it was true. And I think that's where we are. And not just America, in the world. I like what Curtis said about that Cain and Abel, because I felt that too. I think this is a God conversation, right? Because there was a spirit in one of those brothers that allowed them to do that to the other. And God still protected that other brother, even though that blood still cried out from the land. So that spirit needs to be defeated, and it will not be defeated until we be honest about our abuses, about some of the abuses that our ancestors have put out there to put us in specific predicaments. And on top of that, I think this is the Jesus moment where Jesus is like, yo, you need to be ready to get that money back because you already know what your peoples did for that money. And I said, make it right. And if you don't want to do that, then you're contributing to the factors that we're talking about.
Good deal. We're going to keep this thing going. We got a few more minutes before we get out of here. Dawn, I know you got something else on your heart, but I'm going to touch a few more people before I do that. Let me go to Willow. Then I'm going to go to Rico. And then, Dawn, I'm coming to you. Then we're going to circle back around. Willow, what's on your heart?
Yeah. I was talking to my nephew because he's in the car about the subject. And he made a great point, Raheem. He said, well, if they replace the racism, guess what? They'll come up with something else.
Yeah.
They'll replace what they're dealing with something else that we're going to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So there's always going to be some kind of thing that we're fighting. We're in a perfect age right now. Well, God has given us mercy and grace because he said it in his word that there's going to come a time that even if you thought evil in your heart, he's going to rule with a rod iron fist. So we're in a great time to fix it right now. We're in a wonderful time. So hopefully somebody's listening and wanting to change their attitude. That's what's on my heart right here.
Good deal. Rico, talk to me, brother. Rico, you there?
Yeah, give me 1 second, man. I'm trying to come on screen right quick. I just came in the house.
Okay.
Well, I could go ahead and start talking until I get on now. You know, I'm gonna clear it up, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you know, some people are in denial and not realizing that when you are in denial about certain things, sometimes you could be complicit to a behavior or to a situation that's going on. And you know, hearing Ryan say, you know, man, they didn't just throw nets on people and drag them over here. You know, they were sold. Yeah, you ever heard of get down, lay down? Let's not leave out them weapons of mass destruction that the Europeans had called guns. Other people didn't have that. So they had a very big influencer to persuade them to sell or lay down. But we're going to leave that part out because that's part of the argument that people will use, even with a question like that really didn't deserve that history lesson. You know, regardless of who started it or where it came from, if it ended, the question was, if it was ended, what would happen? And so, you know, we could go back and say, well, they were traded and sold and the people over there apologize. Yeah, but what happened after they got here? The people that sold them then feed them to alligators and didn't rip them apart by horses and didn't rape them in front of their children just to prove a point. Didn't skin them and feather them, didn't experiment with them medically. See, it's the actions. So we're going to hold everybody accountable. Was America built on the back of other people? Man, it's been documented. Are we in 2023 going to deny what has been proven historically, financially, through the penal system? We're proving black codes where people, we prove where they try to actually still use the penal system to continue using the system of slavery. How did the system of slavery work? And how was it intended to work over here? It was intended for me to still be a slave to this day. It wasn't under the same guise as everybody else's rule of slavery. And not only was it intended for me to still be a slave today, it was also intended for the people that profited off of that labor and made America the strongest country on the planet within less than 100 years. Continue to be strong and profitable. So now we're living in it in another form through labor and banks and corporations. And in some cases, it's still racial.
Yeah.
We know this.
Yeah.
You know, but when you deny it or you deflect or you omit things because it might be uncomfortable, not you personally, but your people may be just as big as at fault with this thing, or maybe they did something as simple as slave trade and then brought people over here and did something very tragic, savage and barbaric, inhumane, so much to the point where we don't like to talk about that. Let's go all the way back to the original trade. Let's not talk about the alligators. Let's not talk about the medical experimentation. Let's not talk about the lynching. All that terror, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I know as a human being, most times people won't understand until they go through it.
Wow.
People will not really get it until they go through it. And I mean, you know, we can get, Paul might decide to go back and read the War on Drugs document and expose that the government in the 1970s still used the war on drugs as a covert way to destroy the black family. That realization hurt, didn't it, Paul?
Wow.
Oh my God, it was so hard to believe that really happened. White people couldn't understand it. They couldn't comprehend that. Oh my God, they couldn't even fathom or imagine that something like that would go on. Not the United States in cahoots and in unison working on such a inhumane behavior. I mean, they actually communicated to do, they planned and plotted to do this to some people. No, not the United States. I can't imagine you getting a group of people gathered together to do it. And then in 2022, you read it.
Exactly. Let's keep this thing going. We got a few more minutes before we get out of here. I want to go to Tucson. Tucson has something, and Zamari, coming to you next. Tucson?
Yeah, I never imagined myself looking at it. Just an example. A skinhead, a white supremacist, or a Klan member, and I never expect them to treat me right. Never. That's the waste of my time. Because it just will not. They think, some people believe they're right. When you think you're right, then in you there is no wrong.
Yeah.
So for me to try to convince you that there is a wrong in your right, then I'd be spinning my wheels. And I ain't got that time. And so I might be strange, but somebody said if a person shows you who they are, believe them. And I'm not saying anybody here is a certain way, but I know that there is a denial that's going to continue from it started at the beginning and it's going to be here till the end. They're going to fight Jesus when he comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to be ready to fight because they want their own way. Not they, mankind.
Yeah.
Evilness, unrighteousness, ungodliness. It's going to always try to stick their head out and continue to do what they do. That's all I want to say, Raheem. I know we got more people that want to talk, but some things I don't have time for.
Yeah,
That's just
exactly.
the way of it.
Good deal. Zamari?
I'm good.
Okay.
So if there's somebody else that wants to speak, go at it.
Okay, good deal. Captain?
Yeah, you know, I want to talk to my, let me say this, Ryan, you my man to him. I'm not going to beat around the bush when I'm talking to you. I mean, everybody, see somebody's in denial. I'm just believing they said Ryan's in denial. Because I think the whole conversation about how America was built on what facts, I think the only statement came out of Ryan. But let me say this to my brother. You say you know history, and I'm not going to ever disagree that you don't know history. You do know history. You know white history. You know your history.
Hey, Cap, talk directly to your phone. Talk again in your phone for me so we can everybody can hear you clearly. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go.
So what I'm saying is good. Ryan's good at his history, but that's European history. Ryan can't know my history better than me. Ain't no way you can tell me, Ryan, you know black history better than black folks. When you said that the Moors enslaved, that let me know you don't know history. Because if you looked at the Moors, you understood that you used the word Puerto Rican, of course, your man Badger jumped in to save you because that was a really off the cuff Puerto Ricans. But we're going to get that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the history of the Moors, man, they was rolling with my man Hannibal, who was chasing the Romans who came in the air. You have to understand the Crusades. There's a book called Iceman Inheritance. You need to get that book. Written by a white man. Of the 6,000 years the Europeans been on this planet, the blood and wars that they have shared is way more of them. Now, we shed our own blood, but that's because they're personal wars within ourselves. But to go in and take other nations, you got to understand who divided Africa. Do you know where the word Africa come from? It was never called Africa. It came from the white conqueror Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That's what the word Africa comes. Am I right, brother Raheem?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Now, the reason why most may not be able to say, I've been to Africa 3 times. Yeah, there was some few black folks that sold us into slavery. But just like my man Rico said, white folks are always trying to find a justification. Now, we're not talking about Ryan, who enslaved, but when you get on here and say statements like that, and they really have to be very careful because it ain't no indictment to you. You're not a racist, I don't believe. But you don't have to defend the racist action of your people. I would never try to defend the racist action of a people who had enslaved. Yes, but the bottom line is you got to know. Let me say this: if you can find me, Ryan, European history that goes past 6,000 years, I'll give you $10,000. And everybody hear me on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because Europeans don't have a history go past 6,000. You know when your history go past 6,000 years, you know where it takes you into? That's why there's the book called The Caveman Inheritance. You would rather be a caveman than say you came from us. Ain't no caves in Africa. Caves come out of Europe. So when you look at the caveman, that's the origin of white people. That's not the origin of black people. And let me say this about the religious story about Cain and Abel. The question is, what color was Cain and Abel? We use it quite a bit. And we go into the scripture. But Cain and Abel had a color. And the question is, what color was Cain and Abel? Was Cain and Abel black? Or was Cain and Abel Caucasian? We can't keep throwing loose stuff out there when you're dealing with people who really know history. We got to be very careful because everybody in here may not be astute to that. But man, as my man Leonard said, if it wasn't for racism, there wouldn't be no Nation of Islam. But what Leonard was really trying to say is that for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. You come with the white supremacy? Okay. We're coming with the black supremacy. Now, which one is valid? We are more valid to be black supremacy than you are white. because our origin is black. Everything comes from the origin of black. Not that because I said it, but if you want to study white history, then look at your man, Dr. Leakey. Dr. Leakey, that's a white anthropologist. Study your history. You say you study history, and they would tell you the origin of white people. But we can't keep every time somebody talk about black people struggle or slavery, you got to throw in that same old, well, black people sold blacks. And that's our argument. You ain't got nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm. Good deal.
If black
Good deal.
people sold us out, we got to go back to Africa and deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Not you.
Good deal.
But we know there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's on my heart, right?
Good deal. Good deal. And Paul said in the chat, I'm gonna post it up here again. He said, Cain and Abel are fictional characters. He said Cain and Abel are fictional characters. That's how he feel on that one. But I got to give Ryan an opportunity to respond. Ryan, anything on your heart, brother?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I just know what I've been taught, what I've read, right? And books are written by people, right? Yes. So long and the short of it is, when we have conversations like this, and you're right, somebody on here could point the finger and call me a racist. That's fine. I know what I'm not, right? You can't tell me what I'm not, just like I can't tell you about your history, right? Mm-hmm. So, but what I feel is that certain topics on here, on this show, target white people. And of course, me being white, it does make me feel some kind of way sometimes, right? And that's okay, because I'm a person. I have feelings too, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not on here to hurt or upset anybody. Mm-hmm. So, I have nothing but love for everybody on this panel, and I will take correction if I make a mistake, right? So I appreciate the history lesson.
Hold on, Cap. Let him finish. Go ahead, Ryan.
I just want to.
No, that's all I got to say. Mm-hmm. I don't have to elaborate on that. That is what it is, right? I'm a man enough to accept correction if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Cap, you were saying something?
No. I said, I don't believe you're racist, right? That's what I don't believe you. I mean that. Now, I don't see nothing in you on the time that we've known each other on this air that I picked up any inkling that you're racist. Mm-hmm. So what I was saying is, you have to be very careful, my friend, very careful, because you draw the rage of everybody on here that's black. Even the most conservative Leonard, had to jump, I mean, but because we don't want to go there, but clearly, don't try to defend injustice. And even though you may come from that, I look at the action of black people, and I mean, man, we killing each other, man. You can't be more mad at us killing each other than me. Is it embarrassing? Do some of us feel a certain way? I remember Sister Willa. Every time Willa would get on and she would talk about, I ain't got no problem with white people. My problem with these Negroes. And she said, like, I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. Willa. It's Chicago.
Yeah.
And she's absolutely right. But the bottom line is, that is the action of a few. But the majority of white people, not, you can get in that soup if you want to. I don't believe that's the soup you want to get in. The majority of white people have received the benefits of my forefathers. Brother Rico's forefathers. Just Sister T and Brother Tucson and Brother Curtis, our forefathers. White people reap the benefit. And it's like my man said, you couldn't enslave the Indians. They wasn't going to be nobody's slave. I like that. I like that. If we go to Badger, I like that, Badger. Mm-hmm. But shit, they that excuse my language. Mm-hmm. They almost annihilated the Native Americans. Mm-hmm. But that's it. No, Ryan. You my mans in them. Oh, this is the way I went now. No, come on, man.
And again, Cap, too, don't take it as justification, because I will never justify anything like that. There is no justification for any of that for any people.
Mm-hmm.
So, that word justify, that hit me raw, because I'm not justifying nothing.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal.
All right. Okay, that's good.
Cassandra, I'm coming back to you, sis. We're going to get out of here. What's on your heart?
I'm about to cuss. I ain't gonna say nothing.
No, well, we don't need you
Go
cussing.
ahead and let it out.
Please let me speak before you end today.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely. Curtis, anything on your heart, brother?
Yeah, I do, and it's real quick. Sometimes we have to be. My grandma taught me a long time ago that whenever you want a relationship to work successfully, there's 3 things you must have: tolerance, temperance, and patience.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good.
Ryan, there's nothing about you that I can see where you are racist. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take this opportunity to try and give you a jewel that you may already have. So if you already have it, all I'm going to do is reinforce that jewel. If you don't have it, then I'm hoping you take it and you give it to somebody else. In language, you must understand that our tongues must be tempered. We must have the patience of thought and the tolerance to understand the other side before we speak. The reason I say that is because what you said, I need you to understand that every single Black person on this phone and or listening to this conversation has heard that used as an excuse to justify slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to understand that you have some really, really influential behind the curtains folk that is on here. My second cousin was one of the members of the Greensboro sit-in. My grandmama was the granddaughter of a slave. So I just want you to understand. Be mindful of what you're saying when you say it in the midst of the company that you're in.
Good deal.
Because there's some people that heard that completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they've heard it from a group of people who do not represent you, nor do they stand for you.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal.
That's all I wanted to say, Raheem.
Yeah, we're ready to get on out of here, man. Let me see who I want to. Oh, Badger, you said you wanted to say something, brother. What's on your heart?
So, history, a lot of times, is written by the winners. And you have to dig deep to find out some of the untold stories. As an example, where I live, there's a place called Dickinson Orphanage, one of the only African American orphanages. After the man passed away, it moved to another building. I got in trouble because I started fighting the county to protect that building because of the history. And have had to step away from the museum over it. Because history is one of my joys. It's one of my passions. I got tired of hearing all this nonsense written by winners, and I wanted to find the things that people don't talk about. Things that you ain't gonna find in a history book. When things in our past, we have to weigh and do so many hours of research and come from so many different angles to even get close to the truth, because we didn't live back then.
Yeah.
but we live in now. And here are the facts of now. We have evil human beings that are racist, that are classist, that are greedy, that push biases and stigmas. There are people that still believe that folks with disabilities need to be killed off. People that are black need to be killed off, and Chinese and indigenous and people from India and so on and so on. There are evil people in this world. And one of our most recent histories is slavery, which had to be fought all the way up until now.
Wow.
And it still is. So it's learning to acknowledge and accept other people's struggles, other people's experiences that are going to be different. Like Toya was saying, my experience as a disabled white skinned half blood Native American ain't going to be the same as a black person. Doesn't mean mine's any less or theirs is any more. We both are having to deal with a bunch of evil human beings, and it sucks.
Wow. Good deal.
Why can't we just go, wow, well, let's go after the evil. I can't cuss. But you get what I mean, right? I hope y'all do.
Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. Let me go to Willa.
Hey, Raheem.
Talk to me, sis. Anything on your heart right now? Leonard, coming to you next.
No, great conversation, Raheem. Always.
God.
Reaching from the heart.
Absolutely.
Wonderful conversation.
Absolutely. To God be the glory. To God be the glory.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, to God be the glory.
Absolutely.
Always trying to help us to get our actions in order. Help us to make better decisions. You know, I always say that the worst threat to our lives is the freedom that we have to choose, because we don't know the right way to choose, because we're being led by something evil sometimes. And I say sometimes, you know, with our characteristics, our attributes, being angry, getting with jealousy, with you know, so many different ones that we allow to be within us, and we sometimes don't know how to keep them out with what should sustain us, and that's that Holy Spirit.
Absolutely.
So that's what's on my heart, Raheem.
Good deal.
Great conversation.
Good
wonderful, wonderful conversation.
There you go. Leonard.
Man, it's been good today. I think that a lot of people got a lot of things that they can go back and study. It's a lot of, you know, hopefully these conversations provoke you to go find that truth, and don't stop where you comfortable and what you like. Don't think that anyone around has the right and the brand of righteousness and unrighteousness. You're all filthy. And if you go back far enough, you'll find the filth in every land, wherever you came from or whatever you believe, it's there. We even got talking about yin and yang, and that's a whole cosmological thing we have to talk about another day. But what I do like, that if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. But whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. Every single day. If all you are about what you went through, you're losing your life.
Yeah. Exactly. Wow. Man, it's
and
powerful.
do something better with it. Go right wrong. If you're against reparations, guess what? You're wrong. Reparations come after something has been done to someone. It's a repayment for what has been done. That's what it's for. You can't deny it's been done. Stop trying to stick your chest out about what you believe to be true. Because if you keep studying, oh yeah, there's some nasty wickedness in you too. I will never know what it's like to be a slave. I am a descendant of slaves. Never can I claim what they suffered. But I can definitely be about repairing it.
Yeah.
Peace and blessings.
Absolutely. Rico, come on, brother.
And I can tell you what it's like to be a descendant of a slave. Might be very different than everybody else's experience. But, you know, I'm going to tell you something, man. You know, we spoke earlier And I said that about the white pastor saying that about his congregation not coming to your event because they didn't want to be out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Maybe a little shame involved. Whatever the reason was, it was all about discomfort, being uncomfortable. And you know, sometimes, man, I hear stereotypes about black people. I've heard them all my life, man. Some of them were false. They got tails. That wasn't true at all. And some of them I saw were true. And shamefully, I have to admit that they're true. I see what's going on in Chicago and in Jacksonville and all these cities, the black on black crime, man. And I sit back and I say, oh, man, what they say about us is true. Sometimes I'm in the mall. Like you said, you had your situation in Dallas.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in the mall and in public and I see people, younger, my younger generation of people, or even when I was of age, people that look like me, acting out of order beneath the standard of what society accepts. And it would be shameful. I'm like, oh man, look at them. They giving them a reason to say the stuff they say about us because sometimes it was true. And so with that being said, this book, The Iceman Inheritance by Michael Bradley, a white man, some people call our lighter skinned cousin, is saying, oh my God, some of this stuff they saying about us is true. I'm white and I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to break it down to you psychologically, biologically. I'm going to break down the Neanderthal Caucasoid to you. I'm going to break down the concept of race to you, and I'm going to tell you why we came up with this mess, how dysfunctional our thought process was when we came up with it, and why we came up with it, and how beneficial it is.
Name what, Rico?
The Iceman Inheritance by Michael Bradley. And see, that accountability, you know what I'm saying? Even though he wasn't the one that did it, he was able to go back and say, this is what my descendants did. I'm pretty sure Hitler's descendants can come back and say, yep, this is what my ancestor did. Leopold, and whoever else you could name throughout history that have done very atrocious things. They have relatives and descendants who will come back and say, yeah, this is terrible.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
This is terrible, and this is what my ancestor did, and it was wrong. It needs to be repaired, and it still has an effect today in some ways. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard, man. You know what I'm saying? It's very uncomfortable facing some of the things that happened in the past that may be contributed not to you, but to people you came from. Even on our end, it's like that. So I get it. But just even hearing somebody say something like this, be able to open your mind up and say, well, you know what? If they can get that sometimes some of the things they say about black people, they may be actually making it true. Some of the things we're saying about white people may be true too, instead of being so quick to deny, because, you know, even in saying that you're not deflecting and denying, but at the same time you're educating, it can be complicitly used for people that are racist to use these same points that he's making. So, I mean, you know, that's for anybody. I'm glad Curtis said what he said, Leonard, everybody. You have to be mindful of what you say, especially if you're not really open to get out of your comfort zone and accept some, you know, not I ain't gonna say responsibility, but to a certain extent, you are sort of accepting that this is true about my people, my tribe, my crew.
Exactly.
With that being said, if you missed today's show and would like to hear or see the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, this has been an amazing conversation today, man, from start to finish, man. I definitely appreciate it. And man, y'all are my family, man. Whether we agree, disagree, go back and forth, whatever it is, man, y'all my family, man. And I love each and every one of you, man. And that's just what it is, man. That's just what it is. And family don't always, I say this all the time, family don't always get along. Sometimes they don't. You know,
right? People need to understand, listen, it is embarrassing.
Yeah.
When we do see stuff that we do that make us look bad, man, we just as uncomfortable seeing black people acting out in public.
Exactly.
That doesn't feel good.
Yep.
But we can't deny that it happens.
Exactly. Man, look here. We here every day, Monday through Friday, from 7:00 a.m. until 10. Sometimes we go a little bit over, but I'm gonna tell you something. Here lately, we've been starting on time. Zamari, where's Zamari at? We've been starting on time.
Don't you come in here with them 2 or 3 days, Raheem, talking trash.
Look at here. Hold on now. Hold on. We got to start somewhere. Got to start somewhere.
Say nothing.
Huh?
I said I was late today, so I can't say nothing.
Oh, okay.
We'll celebrate after 30.
After 30.
When it becomes a habit.
This dude done said 30. Now somebody told me if you do something for 21 days, it become a habit. This dude done said 30. Huh?
I'm gonna give you extra. I'm gonna give you extra. That's mercy and grace.
Lord, my Jesus. Somebody help me. Help him, Lord. Help him. Willow, we need prayer.
Hey, Raheem.
Willow, I gotta ask you a question. Willow. I want you to answer this question. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Raheem, I'm so ready. So ready to receive the word of God.
Now
I'm so ready for my prayer this morning.
Now you know we ready too.
I am ready to receive God's message. I'm ready, Raheem. Let's go.
I ain't got one more thing to say to you then, Willow. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Father God in heaven, Lord, we just thank you. We thank you, Lord, for allowing us to get up to see another day. Father, we thank you, Lord, for giving us another opportunity, Lord, to get it right with you. Father, forgive us. Forgive us if there's been anything that we said, anything that we've done or thought that has been displeasing to you in your eyesight. Father, we're asking you to purge us of all our unrighteousness, Lord. Father, we're praying for the homeless, the sick, the shut in, those that have lost loved ones, Lord. Father, we're standing on your word. We trust and believe you, Lord. Father, we believe your promises that you said that you'll be there, that you'll never leave us nor forsake us. Thank you for allowing the Holy Spirit to lead us and guide us, direct us, show us your ways and line us up with your will. Father, today we just want to say thank you in advance for all the things that you do. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Lord.
And let me say it. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. More than that, I want to thank you for allowing DK, your media group and associates, and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now, what time is it? 10:23, man. Y'all done got 23 more minutes out, man. Look at this. This becoming a habit, man. Y'all got to do better than that, man. This becoming a habit, man. Rico, it's becoming a habit, man. Every day it's like 20, 23, 25 minutes over. Man, I'm starting.
You gotta start back coming in late, and then we'll get done early.
Look at and balance it out, right? You gotta balance that thing out, man. I gotta start being late again. See, there was a reason why. There was a reason why I was being late. There was a reason. Balance it out. We go over. But anyway, it's been a great broadcast. Thank you all for joining us. Before you go, but before you leave us, before we get out here today, I want you to do me 2 favors if you don't mind. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we are certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number 2, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. That we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other. And please, please, please be blessed. Give somebody some love and truth. They would appreciate it. And I'm sure that you will as well. Have a great day. Love you. Talk to you tomorrow morning. God says the same.